Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, happy Saturday. Welcome to today's program. Um, Welcome to today's program. All right, today is going to be an interesting day in our discussion. I'm going to be discussing two topics at the same time. I'm going to be jumping from one topic to the next, so I'm going to be switching um, the topic from one another. All right, so that's what I'm going to be doing today. Um, so that is it. I hope you guys are doing fine. Yeah, this allergies is killing me. It's very, very hot. I've taken my medications, but still my sinus is giving me a kind of headache. I hope I'm going to be able to handle today's program. So bear with me. I'm going to try as much as I can. I'm going to be stepping in and out of the camera to clear my nose. If the time comes, I'm just giving you guys head up. All right, I'm just giving you guys heads up. All right, welcome to today's topic. Okay, let's see. All right, please indicate to me where you're watching from once you join the program. Okay. Once you join the program, kindly indicate to me where you are watching from so that I can acknowledge your presence. All right. I'd like to acknowledge each and every one that comes into the program. All right. Now, there is a background noise. You guys are going to be hearing a slight background noise. That is my AC. I have to put the AC on. So ignore that noise, that little noise at the background. As long as you can hear me, that's fine. That's my AC. I can't turn off the AC. If I turn off the AC, I'm going to be sweating. It's very hot. The temperature is very, very hot this weekend. So I have about 3 AC and a fan on. So that's going to tell you the kind of temperature we are. I have 3 AC on in the house plus a fan just to get down the temperature down. So please ignore that noise at the background of my audio. That is the AC. All right. YouTube, you are welcome. Those that are watching me in YouTube, you are welcome. All right. Those that are watching me in those my Facebook pages, the Living with Diabetics, you are welcome. Managing Diabetics TV, you are welcome. All right. So that is it. What more should I say? Let me see what is happening here. Oh, Yvonne, you're welcome. You are welcome. You are welcome. Nice to see you. Nice to see you once again. So I'm gonna YouTube, how are you? Random Haj, you are welcome. Nixon, you are welcome. Holy Matson, you are welcome. All right. I'm doing fine, Nixon. All right. So we're waiting for everybody to join the program. So give everybody about 10 minutes. Dennis, you are welcome. All right, so let's just wait for about 5-10 minutes for everybody to join the program, and then so that we start our program. Okay, so today I'm going to be discussing two topics at the same time. I'm going to be switching in from one topic to the other, just to make sure. Last week we're discussing about the insulin overdose, the science and risk of insulin overdose. So we could not finish it. So today I'm going to finish it, and then also discuss about gestational diabetics. all you need to know about gestational diabetes. So I'm going to be switching in between those two topics. All right. So um, I'm going to be switching in those two topics. All right. Just hold on. I need to take care of. Um, all right. So just wait. Let's just wait for a few minutes for everybody to join the program, and then we'll take it from there. Let me see. Those those that are watching me, so I'm trying to. Excuse me, I'm trying to do something. All right. Those that are watching me on YouTube, there's a background noise there. Chimbo, you're welcome. The noise, those that are watching me on YouTube, there's a background noise. That background noise is my AC. All right. I don't know how to limit that noise, so you have to bear with me. All right. Those that are watching me on YouTube, I have a background noise. That's my AC. So please bear with me. Lee, how are you? Good morning. Good morning. Welcome. All right. So let's get in with the program. I don't know how to get rid of that noise. I'm going to take care of it. Just I'm waiting for everybody to join the program. Yvonne, do you have any question for me? Yvonne, anybody have any question while we're waiting for everybody to join the program? We will start with question. If anybody has any question, um, Lil, how are you doing? How are you? Okay, your phone, they say your internet is very poor. All right, sorry to hear that. If my audio is not clear, please at any time draw my attention. If my audio is not clear, except that background noise that is happening. Let's say that background noise. I'm gonna see if I can connect it. All right, please indicate. All right. Um, okay. All right. All right. Let me see. Okay. As I was saying, I'm going to be discussing two topics today. All right. I'm going to be discussing two topics today. All right. Last weekend, I discussed about insulin overdose. Is it last weekend or Monday that I discussed about insulin overdose? What are the risks and the symptoms of insulin overdose? I could not finish that topic. All right. I could not finish that topic, and I did promise to complete it. So I will start from it, and then try to see how far I can go, and then also discuss about gestational diabetics. So that means I'm going to be discussing two topics at the same time. So I'm going to be going in and out, switching from one topic to the other. So do not get confused. When I switch to a new topic, when I switch to gestational diabetes, I'm going to draw your attention that I'm talking about gestational diabetics. And when I start talking about insulin overdose, I will let you guys know that I'm discussing insulin overdose. I want us to try to cover those two topics today. So if you want to grab your pen and paper, if you need to write certain things down, grab your pen and paper now. All right. So let me correct something. All right. Yes. Okay. So if you need to correct something now, if you need to. So if you need to correct, write certain things down, then grab your pen and paper. So let's start talking about the insulin overdose. Okay. Uh, I've discussed about the symptoms of insulin, what are the risks of insulin overdose, and in fact, let me just uh, go back a little bit, and before I continue where I stop. Let's talk about what is an insulin overdose. All right, what is an insulin overdose? Um, all right, I'm trying to either to turn off this AC, but I'm going to be very, very hot because the YouTube, somebody's telling me the noise is too much on the YouTube. I know on my Facebook page, the audio, the background noise is not that bad. I'm trying to make a decision how to. Okay, now an insulin overdose, okay, can occur if a person with diabetes takes too much of that medication. All right, that is what is called insulin overdose. But I'm going to explain more in details about it, and then I'll just go down to where I stopped, and then try to see if I can finish it up, and then start discussing about gestational diabetics. All right, so that is what I'm going to try to uh, do now. I turned my WhatsApp off because so if you I turned my WhatsApp off because I don't want any distraction. So if I don't respond to you, it's off. I put it on silent, so I'm not going to hear I'm not going to hear the noise, so I can concentrate. I'm going to respond. I'm going to respond back. All right. So now let's talk about what is insulin overdose. Insulin overdose can occur if a person with diabetes takes too much of that medication. All right. Take too much of that medication. Now, just excuse me. I'm going to try to turn. I'm going to try to turn. Nalu, you're welcome. I'm going to try to turn that off a little bit. Right. So now when you take too much of that medications, you can have what is called insulin overdose. Now, when you have an insulin overdose, that can lead to symptoms of hypoglycemia. You guys know what is called hypoglycemia? When your sugar level suddenly drop below the threshold because of too much insulin in your system. When you have too much of insulin, you take too much of that medication, insulin, it is not going to make you to have hyperglycemia. Your sugar is not going to spike up. Rather, your sugar is going to drop below the threshold, even severe, where it's supposed to be. And then you start having that symptoms of hypoglycemia like sweating, confusion, and even your heartbeat your rapid heartbeat is going to change faster. Okay, that is what we're talking about, insulin overdose. Now, when it comes to insulin, it differs from individuals to individuals. When it comes to insulin, it differs from individuals to individuals, and that can depend on factors such as the time of the day, okay, you take the medications, and if you are an insulin resistant. Okay, so taking insulin differs from individuals that are diabetic. So before doctor can prescribe you an insulin, there are a lot of certain factors that have to take into considerations. One of it is that the time of the day you take the insulin, okay, and if you are insulin resistant. Now, taking an excess amount can result in an insulin overdose. All right. Now, when you have an insulin overdose, it's a serious medical emergency and require immediate medical attention. It's not something you treat at home. When you have an insulin overdose, it's a serious medical emergency and require immediate medical treatment immediately. All right. So I'm going to tell you guys why. You know. Okay. Now, this is what happened when you take too much of insulin. This is what happened when you take too much of insulin. Okay, in your body. And excess insulin. This is very important. This is very important. Pay attention to this particular area. What I'm going to explain. When you have excess insulin in your system and why it is a medical emergency that requires immediate medical treatment. Now, when you have excess insulin in your bloodstream, okay, that can cause the cells in your body to absorb too much, the body to absorb too much glucose, sugar from your blood. I told you, John, I told you my WhatsApp is, I turned it off. Okay, so I'm gonna, when I finish the topic, when I get off line, I'm gonna go to the WhatsApp and see. So, so if you don't mind, okay, just hang on. Once I finish today's program, I'm gonna go to WhatsApp. So I see it because I see you are sending me a message, reminding me that you sent me a WhatsApp. Yes, I see it blipping here, but that is why I put it on silent. All right, so I'm going to respond to you once I'm off live video, okay? Now, when you have excess insulin, okay, in your bloodstream, that can cause the cells in your body to absorb all the sugar from your blood. Okay, that is one. Now listen, that is very bad when the cells of your body absorbs all the sugar in your blood. No, it shouldn't be so. That, the blood is supposed to have a certain amount of sugar in that blood. Okay, remember that is where you derive your energy. The carbs that was converted to energy, that is what gives you that physical energy to do a lot of things. That is why you need a level of sugar in that blood. And then when you become an excess, your insulin take care of those excess sugar and then drive them into the cells of the tissues of your muscle. All right. But when you have too much of insulin in your system, okay, it causes the cells of your body to absorb all the sugar in the bloodstream. Not even a small amount is left, which is very bad. That means you don't have any energy when it absorbs all the sugar in your bloodstreams. That is one. Then two, it causes the liver to release less glucose. That is the consequences of you having too much insulin in your system. It causes the liver to release less glucose. That is two. Okay, remember, there are some excess glucose level that is stored in the liver and released later to the bloodstreams when you need it. Because when you have too much excess glucose level in your bloodstreams, the insulin, make your the insulin make your cells to be insulin sensitive, and then absorbs all the excess glucose level, and then drive them, send them into the tissues of your muscles, and then once that area is filled up, the remaining ones are stored in the liver, and then released back into the bloodstreams when you need more. So when you use all your energy, the glucose that are in your muscles, and you don't have any, and you become weak, the liver is going to release the ones that are stored in there into the bloodstream to give you more energy to continue doing what you are doing. So now, when you have too much of insulin in your system, it causes the liver to produce or to release less glucose. And that is number two. So remember, number one, too much of insulin in your blood system causes your body cells to absorb all the glucose, that is sugar in your bloodstreams. And secondly, it causes the liver to release less glucose. And then third, together with these two conditions, okay, absorbing all the sugar in your bloodstreams and then the liver releasing less glucose levels, okay, these two effects now create dangerously low glucose level in your blood. And this condition is called hypoglycemia. It means you have low blood sugar level, and it's called hypoglycemia. Now, when you have hypoglycemia, your body needs the right amount of glucose, okay, for your body to function properly. And that is why absorbing all the sugar in your bloodstreams, your body cannot function properly. Okay? So glucose is the body's fuel. So without your body cannot do anything. That glucose is the body's fuel. So absorbing all the glucose level, all the sugar in your bloodstream due to the insulin overdose is not good for you as a diabetic. All right? So that is what I was trying to discuss. Now let me go to where I stopped. Now you guys know what is called insulin overdose. Let me go to where I stopped, and then we'll come back to start discussing today's topic. Now we're going to be discussing about now insulin overdose, the symptoms and risk. Okay, there are certain times you can have what we call accidental insulin overdose. Okay, sometimes you can have accidental insulin overdose. And what it is? Why do you have accidental insulin overdose? All right. Now, accidentally overdosing on insulin, okay, is not as rare as it may seem. All right. You might overdose accidentally. You might overdose, take too much of insulin accidentally. And why would you have too much? What would you cause you to have insulin overdose unknowingly? That's what we refer to accidental insulin overdose. One, you forgot a previous injection and take another before it is necessary. Remember, insulin varies. We have the long range, we have the short range, we have the intermediate. We have the pre-meal, during meal, or post-meal. So it depends on the type of insulin that you are in. We have the fast-acting one, okay? So why would you have accidental insulin overdose? One reason is if you forgot previous injection and take another one before it is necessary. So you've taken an insulin and you forgot that you've already taken an insulin and you inject yourself another insulin. So that can be referred as accidental insulin overdose. All right. Now, the second reason that you can have accidental insulin overdose is that you are distracted and accidentally inject too much. All right. So during the time for you to take inject yourself an insulin, okay, now you've taken your insulin, you've measured it, and then you are distracted while injecting yourself, and then instead of you to, you know the limits to inject, but because you are at the process of injecting yourself, your mind or your attention is distracted, and then you inject everything that is inside the tube. Because you already know that, okay, I need this little amount, this is what I need. So in the process of injecting yourself, you are distracted by something, and then accidentally you inject everything that you are not supposed to do. That's the second reason. The third reason is that I'm unfamiliar with a new product and use it inaccurately. So we have different type of insulin. You're on this insulin, you've been using this insulin for the past 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, and all of a sudden doctor prescribe you another insulin out in the market there. But because you don't have experience of using that insulin, okay, so because you are not familiar with that type of insulin, you use it incorrectly. So that could be referred as accidental insulin overdose. All right. Now, the next reason that you might have accidental insulin overdose is you forgot to eat or have an unexpected mealtime delay. You know, there are some certain insulin that you have to take it during meal. Okay? Not post-meal, it's during meal, not before meal. So you forgot to eat or have unexpected mealtime delay. That could result as accidental insulin overdose. Now, the next reason that you can have an accidental insulin overdose is you exercise vigorously without changing the insulin dose as needed. Okay? When you are going to exercise, you know, in my previous tutorial that I discussed with you guys, if you know you're going to exercise, you're going to reduce your dosage. All right? So if you exercise vigorously without changing the insulin dose as needed, could be referred as or termed as insulin overdose. Okay? Now, the next reason why you might have accidental insulin overdose is that you take someone else's dose by mistake. Maybe in a family of 4, two of you are diabetic. So the other person prepared their insulin, leave it on the table or on the counter, and you thought maybe both of you are sharing the same room. You know, 2 brothers, 2 siblings sharing the same rooms, 2 kids. So he left it on the table, dashed out, and you came in and thought that it's your insulin and injected yourself. So you take someone's dose by mistake. That could be termed as accidental insulin overdose. Now, the next one is you take a morning dose at night or vice versa. There are certain insulin that is meant to be taken in the morning or at night. So what happens is that you switch the night insulin and take it in the morning, or you take the morning insulin at night. Those could be referred as accidental insulin overdose. Okay? So these are the reasons you might accidentally overdose yourself with insulin. Now, realizing you overdose can be very scary situations, okay? It can be beneficial to understand the symptoms of insulin overdose and know how to manage it effectively. Okay? Now, remember, an insulin overdose is a medical emergency and requires medical treatment or medical attention immediately. Okay? All right? So, the next one we're going to be discussing is the intentional overdose. So you have the accidental insulin overdose, and we have the intentional insulin overdose. So you knowingly overdose yourself with insulin. Okay? So if you or a loved one is experiencing depression, how can you knowingly overdose yourself with insulin? There are several reasons. There are several factors that can cause somebody to knowingly overdose themselves with insulin. One is depression. Okay, if you have maybe the person going through this diabetic is fed up, is because diabetics put a lot of stress in you because of the complexity of how to manage diabetics. If you don't know if you don't have a clue on how to manage diabetics, what it requires, it put a lot of stress and burden on you. You've tried everything to control your sugar level, but the more you try, the harder it becomes. So that could send you into depression. Okay? Now consider speaking with a healthcare professional if you are depressed or confused on how to manage your diabetics. So due to depression can force you to intentionally overdose yourself with insulin. All right? It can also be helpful to ensure that you are aware of the emergency signs and symptoms of insulin overdose. It may help save someone's life. So understanding the mild and the severe symptoms of insulin overdose could help you to save someone's life. So these, excuse me, just hold on. I need to take care of an idiot here. I'm going to report your page to Facebook now. Kyla Lins, sorry, I'm going to report your page to Facebook because you are a scammer and nothing like a scammer. Just hold on, please. Let me report this page to Facebook. You are not even a woman. You are a man using a lady's picture. You are a scammer, and you are an African. You're an African using a lady's picture. So I'm going to report it to Facebook. So let's just get this straight. I'll be right back. Let me just finish this, please. Just hold on. It's a Nigerian using a white lady's picture to scam a lot of people. So I don't know why Nigerians are so scammy, and that's why they have a lot of bad names. So just hold on. All right, I've reported it to Facebook, so let me see how you're going to. All right, sorry about that. As I was saying, intentional insulin overdose. So one reason someone is going to ask, why will you intentionally overdose yourself with insulin? It's rare, but it do occur. When people are depressed, going through depression, can cause them to overdose themselves with certain medications. If you don't have a clue of, there are certain things you've been trying to resolve by yourself, health issues. You've done everything that it asks you to do, but the more you do, the more you find it very difficult to find a solution or to get a positive answer. Okay, so depression can creep in and cause you to do certain things you are not expected to do, more unknowingly or even knowingly. So one reason that you can intentionally overdose yourself with insulin is depression. And that is why if you are passing through depression, or you have a family member or a friend or relative passing through depression, they need help. Do not leave them alone, because they could harm themselves or even harm the family. When you're going through depression, a lot of thoughts are going through your mind. Depression is a chronic illness and should be treated with care and with emergency. If you have anybody going through depression, do not leave that person alone. They need love and care. They need attention to push the mindset away from that thought they are harboring within themselves. There are several thoughts. Some of them, there is a voices going through their mind, a lot of thoughts going through their mind, take away your life, kill yourself, jump into the lake, go to the bridge and jump over. So there are a lot of things. So don't think when you see somebody, a friend or a relative, going through depression, say it's none of my business. It could be your business. Because that depression, a lot of thoughts are going through your minds. They could do something just to. That's why you are not out of the hook yet, because you don't know what is going through your mind. Is it to go and harm the public? Is it to go and kill their family members? Or it's like the world has abandoned them. There are several thoughts going through your mind. So that's why depression has been classified as a chronic illness. And once you're going through depression, you need help. You need to talk to somebody to counsel you. Okay, you need people around you to talk to you, to counsel you, advise you, love and care. You know, to turn away their mindset from whatever they are thinking into a positive thought. So depression can cause you to do certain things like intentionally overdose yourselves, okay, of taking insulin. So now we are going to go back to the topic I'm supposed to do today, okay, the gestational diabetics. Gestational diabetics is what I'm going to discuss today, Ruth. So we're going to go into gestational diabetics now. I'm going to start talking about gestational diabetics. So I'll spend about how many minutes on this particular. Let's see. Okay, I've been okay. So let's go into gestational diabetics. But first of all, let me see what Ruth. I only see you here when you have a question, when you have a concern. It's when I see you here. Ruth, okay, what? Okay, before I always see you every time, but these days I've noticed anytime I see you, it's when you have a question. When you have a question that you appear, Ruth. All right. I think it's over 1 month now that I've seen you. All right. What are you saying now? Let me see what she's saying. I don't know why your comment is always hidden. Hi, Doc. Isn't good to use one motor when taking medication? Ruth, whatever that works, whatever that is good for you, you can go with it. There is no prerequisite that say that you have to use warm water or cold water to take your medications. Whatever that is good for you, go it. There's no any requirement that you must use either warm or cold water. All right. So if you are using warm water to take your medication and it works fine for you, good. But there's no medical requirement that says when you're taking your medications, you have to use warm water. All right. There's no medical requirement that says when taking medication, it must be warm water. If you take warm water to take your medication, it works for you, fine. It might not work for another person, so it's an individual choice. All right. What we have been advised is that when you have flu, cold, harmattan, when you have catarrh, in Africa we call it catarrh, but here we call it flu, cold. Okay, then stay away from cold water, because until that virus, you clear that by it has passed. So when you have flu or cold or catarrh, you need a lot of, because you're losing fluid. So you have to drink a lot of hot water, hot tea. Anything tea, okay, with lemon on it, because to boost your immune system. Okay, so you got to use either drink, you have to use warm water, but you cannot drink anything from the fridge when you have cold or flu or catarrh. Any water that is in the fridge is out of the question. So you have to look for water that is warm enough, okay, to drink. Or you drink tea, hot tea with lemon in it. That's the only condition I know that when you have those flu virus, you stay away from cold water. Okay, so that's all I can say on that particular issue. So let's go to gestational diabetics. We're going to talk about gestational diabetics now. Okay, let's talk about gestational diabetics. Do you guys understand what is gestational diabetics? Okay, you guys understand what is gestational diabetics? All right, the most common type of diabetics that everybody knows about is type 1 and type 2 diabetics. It's either you're a type 1 diabetes or you're a type 2 diabetics. But we have other kinds of diabetics. All right, we have the pre-diabetics or the borderline diabetics. We have the gestational diabetics. We have the type 1 diabetes or the juvenile diabetes. Sometimes they refer to type 1 diabetes as a juvenile diabetes, and we have the type 2 diabetes. These are the common type of diabetics. But the most popular type of diabetes is the type 1 and type 2 diabetics. And we all know type 1 diabetes is an autoimmune disease, and the type 2 is a metabolic disease. All of them are chronic conditions, okay, and should be treated as a diabetes. One depends on insulin, the other one depends on oral medications and dieting, but most of the time, okay, you can also control both of them, dieting and exercise, okay. Okay, Ruth. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. I'm just trying to catch a joke with you, Ruth. So don't take it personal. So let's talk about gestational diabetics now. What is gestational diabetics? I know you guys have been hearing about it. You say, "Oh, gestational diabetes, gestational diabetes." What is gestational diabetes? Someone is going to tell me gestational diabetes is occurs during pregnancy. Yes, it occurs during pregnancy, but it should be treated like a diabetes because even after birth, it could linger for a shorter period of time or a longer period of time or even a terminal. But it should be treated as a diabetes, and that's why it's referred to as gestational diabetes. Now, gestational diabetes occur when the body cannot produce the insulin it needs during pregnancy. All right? I want you guys to listen attentively. Okay? Gestational diabetics, okay, do occur when the body cannot produce the insulin it needs during pregnancy. Okay? Yvonne, Nalu, can you guys hear me? Yvonne, Chimboyi, can you hear me? Nalu, can you hear me? I want to make sure you guys can hear me. Ruth, is my audio clear? Yvonne and Nalu, is my audio clear? Can both of you hear me? Those that I mentioned their name, can you guys hear me? I want to test to make sure that my audio is clear because I see the room is quiet. I want to know, can you guys hear me? I need to know that you guys can hear me before I continue because the room is quiet. I'm not getting any feedback. I need to know, Yvonne or Nalu, can you confirm back to me in the comment section if you can hear me? The same thing with Ruth. Can you confirm if my audio is clear that you can hear me? Those that are watching me on YouTube, I believe you guys can hear me. Okay, all right. Okay, Ruth says you can hear. Okay, that means that page is okay. You've confirmed that page. I want the other page. The other page. Ruth, can you hear me from the other page? Okay, okay, that's good. All right, so let's go on. Both of you have confirmed. I just want to make sure that my audio is clear. So I say gestational diabetes occurs when the body cannot produce insulin the body needs during pregnancy. Now, people with this condition develop high blood sugar levels during pregnancy. So if your body is not producing enough insulin that you need during pregnancy, there is a tendency that your sugar level is going to be very high during that pregnancy. Okay, so that is why you see some women do have gestational diabetes during pregnancy, and after pregnancy it disappears. If you're lucky, it disappears. If you're lucky, it lingers for a longer period of time and then disappears. But at the same time, until it disappears, you must treat it as a diabetic. So if your body is not producing enough insulin that you need during pregnancy, the probability or the tendency of you having too much sugar in your bloodstream during pregnancy is there. And that is what is referred as gestational diabetes. These occur only during pregnancy. All right? Occur only during pregnancy. Okay? Now, during pregnancy, some people, okay, may develop high blood sugar levels. Remember the word during pregnancy. I didn't say after pregnancy or before pregnancy. It says during pregnancy, some women may develop hyperglycemia. Okay? And this condition is also referred to as gestational diabetes. All right? GDM. Okay? Gestational diabetes mellitus. All right? Now, gestational diabetes typically develops between 24th or 28th week of the pregnancy. Okay? Gestational diabetes always develop between 24th to 28th of weeks of pregnancy. So you have to have that number correct in your head. That is between 24th and the 28 weeks of pregnancy. That is when you commonly have gestational diabetes. Okay? Now, let me see what this guy is saying here. All right, I read what he just sent to me here. All right, so let's get back. I don't want to be distracted. Okay, now, if you develop gestational diabetes, okay, during pregnancy, if you develop gestational diabetes during pregnancy, it doesn't mean you have diabetes before your pregnancy or afterward. Okay, so if between the 24th and the 28th week of your pregnancy, you develop gestational diabetes. Okay? It doesn't mean you had diabetes before your pregnancy or even after your pregnancy. But developing it does raise a risk of you developing type 2 diabetes in the future. That is where it gets interesting. Okay? Let me repeat it again. Maybe you can understand it. If you develop gestational diabetes between the 24th week and the 28th week of your pregnancy, that does not mean you had diabetes before your pregnancy or afterwards. But developing that gestational diabetes poses a risk of you developing type 2 diabetes in the future. And that is why I said, okay, some women, after their childbirth, the gestational diabetes disappear. Some lingers for a period of time and then disappear. But it's a risk that in the future you might have type 2 diabetes. And that is why I said earlier on, you must treat it like diabetes during those periods of your pregnancy. Now, in the future, it might become type 2 diabetes. Why? If you poorly manage it during those pregnancy and afterwards. If you poorly manage it during your pregnancy and afterward, in the future, it might lead you to have type 2 diabetes. And that is why you must treat it as a diabetes during those periods of your pregnancy, and then do those, to safeguard yourself for it to manifest into type 2 diabetes. Okay, so if you poorly manage gestational diabetes, can also raise your child's chances of developing diabetes. So during that pregnancy, if you poorly manage your diabetes, okay, it can raise your child's chance of developing diabetes. Now remember, there are some women that are diabetics. And they gave birth, that child is not diabetic. And you wonder why. When the child is in the uterus, it feeds through the what do you call it? The mom's I've forgotten it. It feeds through the mom's connection tubes. So you wonder, the mom is diabetic, but when the child is born, the child is not diabetic. You could have gestational diabetes during pregnancy, and when you deliver that child is not diabetic. Now, if you poorly manage your diabetes during those pregnancy, gestational diabetes, now you are now putting that child at risk of developing diabetes in the future. Okay? So it can increase the possibility of complications for you and your baby during pregnancy and delivery. So that is why even during your pregnancy, they check your sugar level to make sure you're not diabetic, you don't have any gestational diabetes. They check your blood pressure, which is very, 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 very critical before any treatment, to make sure your blood pressure is okay. They don't want any complications during your pregnancy. So, but if you poorly manage that gestational diabetes during pregnancy, you are putting yourself at risk of that child developing diabetes in the future, and also possibility of complications for you and your baby during that pregnancy and delivery. So that is why once you start going to your antenatal period, okay, they check all those things to make sure that the mom is not diabetic, the child is safe, delivery is going to be safe. Okay, they check all the boxes, the blood pressure is okay, they keep monitoring your blood pressure to make sure you are not under stress. And that is why they say to the husbands, to the men, when your wife is pregnant, the last thing she needs is stress, so that her blood pressure is not going to go high. Okay, they make sure that she's in a stable mind. Even I know during pregnancy, women attitude, mood changes. Okay, but you as a man must learn to adapt to those changes. Because of the hormonal changes in pregnancy, they tend to change. They tend to irritate you, but you as a man must develop a thick skin to tolerate it. That is a phase. That phase is going to pass, and then that unity and love is going to return when the child is delivered. So blood pressure is very critical when one is pregnant. The blood sugar level is also very critical to check. Now the heart rate, the cholesterol are checked, all the vitamins are checked, everything that the woman needs to have a safe delivery is checked. Okay, and to make sure that there's no complications during that pregnancy and delivery. So poorly managed diabetics, if you're not managing your gestational diabetics, you are increasing the child risk of developing diabetics, and also there's a possibility of complications of your baby and you during that pregnancy and delivery. Okay, now your one says, why are sugar babies big? Your phone, I don't understand your question. You say, why are sugar babies big? What do you mean? I don't understand it. Can you explain much better? Felicia, you're welcome. Yvonne, I don't understand your question. If you can explain it much better for me to answer you, because you said, why are sugar babies big? I don't understand it. So while I'm waiting for you to clarify your question for me to answer properly, I'm going to move down to the topic. So what are the symptoms of gestational diabetics? We're going to look at the symptoms of gestational diabetics. All right, what are the symptoms of gestational diabetics? All right, what are the symptoms? Now, it is rare for you to see a woman with gestational diabetes have any symptoms. It is rare for you to see a woman that has diabetes, that has gestational diabetes, to have symptoms. But your doctor, okay, may test you for gestational diabetes to make sure you are not diabetic, or if you have certain risk factors. There are certain risk factors that might indicate to your doctor that, you know what, let me check her to make sure she's not having any gestational diabetes. And that is why I said, you know, God should bless Africa to be like Western world in terms of women dying during pregnancy. In this 24th century, no woman dies during child labor. During pregnancy, no woman dies during child labor. But Africa, you go and marry a wife, build a home, and then got your wife pregnant, everything is moving, family nice, you are happy, you want to be a dad, you want to start raising children, but you as a man, your mind is not settled. When you get to 8 months, 9 months, the woman starts going into labor, the man mind is not settled. When the woman is in labor, the man will remember God and carry 5 Bibles and start praying from morning to night, speaking all kinds of tongues. Cannot eat for days just because your woman is in labor. Why? It's only in Africa that we have the mortality rate of women die in child labor is high, not in this 24th century. But it's only happening in Africa. In this 24th century, no woman dies in child labor. It's unheard of that a woman dies in child labor when all the technologies are there. Okay? When all the technologies are there, why would a woman die in child labor? Because in the Western world, okay, right from the first week of your pregnancy, okay, till the last day you are going to have your child, you are going through a lot of tests, appointment with your gynecologists, your doctors, to make sure the mom is safe, the child is safe. They monitor the child, everything. They monitor the progression. If there's any disease, if there's any complication the child is going to have, the mom, they will let the wife, the husband know this is it. If the child is going to be normal, you know it even before the child is born. If the child has an issue, you know it even before the child is born. If the mom is going to have an issue, you will know it before the child, even before the labor day. Everything is done. You check the boxes to make sure, yes, the mom is safe, the child is safe, everything is working out fine. If the woman is not going to have that child in a normal way, they will let the wife, and they call the husband and the wife, sit them down. Your wife cannot have this child, because this is the reason medically she cannot have it. And if she tried to have that child through the normal way, these are the consequences. If they will advise you, the only way the woman can have this child is through C-section or induced labor. Maybe they find something before the 9-month due. They say there's something, they find that. They say, okay, you know what, we're going to force your wife to have what we call induced labor before even the due date, because to save the mom's life and to save the child's life. Everything is done. Check. The woman knows when the woman knows the time and date she's going to have her labor. The woman is going to drive herself to the hospital. If the man doesn't need to drive the woman is going to enter her car, drive herself to the hospital, go lie down, park her car, and go and have her baby, and come back without even the man is there. You can't see no man in the hospital carrying Bible, speaking in tongue, in Western world, jumping up and down, sweating like a Christmas goat. Your wife will be in labor, you are in a nightclub dancing, because you know where your wife is at a trusted hands. They have the equipment, everything has been checked. You don't need to worry yourself. You don't need to go and be praying and consulting pastors to pray and making all kinds of sacrifice, disturbing God for nothing to save your wife. No. When your wife is at labor, you are somewhere enjoying yourself. The next thing they call you on the phone, oh, your wife is already has a baby. You go to the hospital and see your wife, and then you come home. But it's only in Africa I see hell. You know, a wife is in labor, the husband is disturbing all the people in the hospital, preaching and speaking in tongue and sweating and jumping and hitting the wall, looking like sweating, you know, just because your wife is in the labor room. Why? Okay? So may God help Africa. So let me go back to your one question. If you have diabetic, your one is asking a question on the other page. If you have diabetic, you give birth to a big baby, mostly weighing above 3 kg birth weight. If your child is overweight, weighing 3 kg, does not mean it's due to diabetes or due to too much sugar level. No. Okay? Because your question is, if you have a diabetic, you give birth to big babies, mostly weighing above 3 kg. No, that it has nothing to do with gestational diabetics if the baby is weighing over 3 kg. It has nothing to do with the weight. There are other different risk factors that might have the baby. There are some babies that weigh less than 2 kg. There are some babies that weigh more than 3 kg. So it has to do with your immune system. It has to do with your gene. Okay? But it has nothing to do, when the child is weighing over 3 kg, does not mean he or she is diabetic. No. There are other different factors that causes the baby to overweight 3 kg, okay, or less than 3 kg. It has to do with your gene, okay, of the both parents. So if that is what you are asking, it has nothing to do with diabetes, gestational diabetes. The gestational diabetes does not cause the child to overweight. Okay, and sorry to hear that in 2009 you experienced a stillbirth. Sorry to hear that the baby's birth weight was 4.5 kg. Sorry to hear about your stillbirth. Then what was the reason given to you, Yvonne? What was the reason given to you about the stillbirth? What was the reason by your doctor? Did they give you any reason why the baby is weighing 4.5, and why do you have stillbirth? Did the hospital give you the reason why you have stillbirth? Yvonne? I'm waiting to hear from you. Okay, just hold on. I'm gonna give you more enlightenment about stillbirth. Just hold on. Okay, just hold on. Let me go. I'll be right back. Let me go and take care of my allergies. I'll be right back. I'll give you more information. I'll I will educate you more on stillbirth. Let me go and take care of my allergies. It's acting now. Just give me 2 minutes. 2 minutes, I'll be right back. All right. I'm back. Hold on. I'm trying to. Okay. Felicia, do you have any question for me? I see you are quiet. Felicia? You have any question for me, Felicia? All right, Yvonne. Okay, let's deal with your question. I'm sorry once again that you'll have a stillbirth 2009. Okay, now what are the main causes of stillbirth? What are the main causes of stillbirth? Now, the causes of stillbirth include complications during childbirth. Complication through childbirth, okay? Now, hemorrhage, okay? If you have a hemorrhage before childbirth, including placenta abruption, okay? Including placenta abruption, infection, and maternal conditions, and pregnancy complications with fatal growth restrictions are the common underlying causes of stillbirth. Now, let me explain in details. Why stillbirth occurs. When the placenta, such as the, when you have a problem with the placenta, okay, such as insufficient blood flow, okay, this especially that placenta. When you have insufficient blood flow to the placenta, that is one of the major causes of stillbirth in the womb. That is the major cause of stillbirth in the womb. That placenta must be nourished with a lot of blood flow. And when you have insufficient blood flow to the placenta, you have a high percentage of stillbirth in the womb. Now, usually after 24 weeks, okay, of pregnancy, that is when this thing usually occurs. They are about after 24 weeks. Okay? Now, fetal genetic problems, okay, and congenital abnormalities can also be a factor to be taken into considerations while you have a stillbirth. Okay? Now, such as we have a neural defect in the placenta, okay, in which most or all the fetal brains and the skulls fails to develop. So when blood is not flowing properly to the placenta to help the baby to develop, especially to the brain, okay, and then the skull, then you can have a stillbirth. Now, you being as a diabetic, and that is why I've said it several times, okay, as a diabetic, you don't want to have hypoglycemia, a low sugar level in your bloodstreams. I don't know, is it one of the complications? It might or it might not be. But the major reasons why we have stillbirth, 90% stillbirth occur is when the placenta has an issue of insufficient blood flow. And when blood is not flowing properly into that placenta to enable the child to develop properly, especially the skull and the brain, then the probability of abnormalities occur, and then you can have a stillbirth. Okay? So that is why you have that stillbirth. So I know they will not do an investigation. Yes, they're supposed to find out why you have that stillbirth, so that to correct it for, because you are going to have a child again. They're supposed to investigate it and then advise you what to do before you have another pregnancy. So for them not to investigate it and allow you to go, put you on a cloud. Do you have another pregnancy or not? They're supposed to investigate. There's any death. Once a child died, they're supposed to investigate it and advise the mom, this is the cause of the stillbirth, and this is what you're going to do in case you're going to have another childbirth in the future. So it's, placenta is the issue. When you have an issue with the placenta, when there's an insufficient blood flow to those areas, can cause you to have a stillbirth. So complications, as I was saying, hemorrhage before childbirth, including the placenta abruption, okay, infection and maternal conditions and pregnancy complications with the fetal growth, underlying fetal growth. That fetal growth is the brain and the skull, okay, restrictions as a common underlying causes. Why do you have a fetal growth restrictions? If the placenta is not supplied enough with the blood is not flowing in those areas, you're going to have a fetal growth. The skulls, the brains are not developing. These are the key areas of the child to develop properly enough for you to have a child. But if the brain and the skull is not developing, blood are not flowing in that area, insufficient blood, and then the placenta has an issue, then the probability for you to have a stillbirth is going to be there. So that is the reason why you have that stillbirth. Okay, Yvonne, I believe you understood what I just said. I believe you understood me, Yvonne. Felicia, you are quiet. You are quiet, Felicia. Okay, let's continue where I stopped. Okay. So now let's look at the symptoms of Muhammad asked a question. Muhammad asked a question. He says, I listened from a doctor that a lady with gestational diabetes has high risk to get affected in the future. High risk affected in the future. Okay? Okay, I'm going to answer it this way. Okay? Mohammed, I'm going to answer your question this way. You say you listen from a doctor that a lady with gestational diabetes has a high risk to get affected in the future. Get affected of what? That is where I want to know. Get affected of what? Mohammed, can you let me know? Get affected of what in the future? I know that has a high risk, yes, but you say get affected. I want to know get affected of what in the future for me to be able to answer you properly. I want to know what you are going to get affected in the future. So if you can let me know, I will answer you properly. But to answer you in a general sentence or in a general way, let me just answer generally. Okay? Now, during pregnancy, let me repeat again. During pregnancy, you might develop hyperglycemia, which is high blood sugar levels. Okay, that condition is called gestational diabetes. Because during pregnancy, you develop gestational diabetes during pregnancy because your body is not producing enough insulin that your body needs during pregnancy. Okay, that is why you develop gestational diabetes. Because your body is not producing the required amount of insulin that you need during pregnancy, and then for that reason, you have too much of sugar level in your bloodstream, which is called hyperglycemia. Now, one thing I'm going to repeat it, for you to have gestational diabetes is always occur between the 24th week to 28 weeks of the pregnancy. Okay, I'm answering your question. I'm answering your question now. So, why do you have gestational diabetes? Because your body is not producing the amount of insulin that you need during pregnancy, and you have hyperglycemia, which means too much sugar level in your bloodstream. And this usually occurs between the 24th to 28 weeks of your pregnancy. Barbara, you're welcome. Okay? Now, if you develop gestational diabetes, Mohammed, listen, if your wife develops gestational diabetes, it doesn't mean she had diabetes before the pregnancy or afterward. Mohammed, you get me? If your wife developed gestational diabetes, it doesn't mean that she had diabetes before the pregnancy or she's going to have it after the pregnancy. But developing that gestational diabetes during that pregnancy will raise the risk of your wife developing type 2 diabetes in the future. So that's I'm answering your question. Okay? Your wife developing gestational diabetes during that pregnancy does not mean she had diabetes before the pregnancy or she's going to have that diabetes after the pregnancy. But developing that gestational diabetes during that pregnancy raises the chances, the risk, that she might develop type 2 diabetes in the future. If it is not properly managed during that pregnancy, if that gestational diabetes is not properly managed during that pregnancy. Okay? Now, if poorly managed, Mohammed, I'm answering the bottom part of your word. If, for instance, your wife did not manage that gestational diabetes, okay, certain things is going to occur, then the probability of her having that diabetes, type 2 diabetes, is going to raise. It's going to be there. So if your wife did not manage that gestational diabetes during pregnancy, okay, it can raise the child chances, even the child in her womb, chances of developing diabetes. I hope you're getting me, Mohammed. So if your wife did not take proper care of that gestational diabetes during pregnancy, that is poorly managed, okay, it can also raise your child that is in the womb of your wife of developing diabetes. Okay? 2, it can also increase the possibility of complication to your wife and to your baby during pregnancy and also delivery. 2, it can also increase the possibility of complication to your wife, to the baby during pregnancy and during delivery. So that is the answer to your question, Mohammed. I believe I've answered your question. Barbara, any question? How are you? We're going to be discussing about the symptoms of, I'm going to be discussing about the symptoms of Barbara, how are you doing? Mohammed, I believe I've answered your question. Junie, you are welcome. Junie, you are always late. Why are you always late? You're supposed to know me and you are in the same time difference. Why are you always late, Julie? Junie, you are always late. This is at 9, almost 10 o'clock. We started since 8:30. Mohammed, I believe I've answered your question. Yeah, good morning, Junie. You are welcome. So, let's look at the symptoms of gestational diabetics. Let's look at the symptoms of gestational diabetics. What are the symptoms? All right. And as I said, okay, as I said, it is rare for you to see a woman with gestational diabetes have a symptom. Okay? It is rare for you to see a woman with gestational diabetes during pregnancy with a symptom. Okay? Now, if a doctor suspects with certain risk factors that you might have gestational diabetes, then the doctor is going to test you for gestational diabetes. But as I was explaining, these are the things during your antenatal period. Okay, and when you're going to Atlanta, all these things will be carried out to make sure that the mom is safe, the child is safe, your high blood pressure is okay, your sugar level is okay, your cholesterol is okay, your heart rate is okay. They check a lot of things to make sure that you're not deficiency in anything, okay, during pregnancy. So if your doctor or your gynecologist suspect that, okay, something is not adding up, he or she might test you for gestational diabetics to make sure that you are not diabetic. And if you are, then you have to treat it like diabetics. Okay? Now, if you do experience, as I said, it is rare for a gestational diabetes to cause symptoms. But if you do experience symptoms, those symptoms may be likely to be mild. Okay? Those symptoms could be mild. Okay? And what are those symptoms of gestational diabetes? Fatigue. Most women that are pregnant, most time they are fatigued, they are tired. So fatigue is one. When they are experiencing in that tendency of pregnancy, they're always tired. Fatigue is one symptoms of mild symptoms of gestational diabetes. You have the blurred vision. The blurred vision is also a symptoms of gestational diabetes. All right. Now we have the excessive thirst. If you watch, all these symptoms are the same thing as symptoms of diabetes. That is why you have to treat gestational diabetes as if you are a diabetic. Okay? So excessive thirst is another symptom of gestational diabetes. And then excessive need to urinate. So that means frequent urination is also a symptom of gestational diabetes. And the yeast infection. Yeast infection is also a symptom of gestational diabetes. Most women have yeast infection. So those are the symptoms of gestational diabetics. Okay? Know how to recognize those symptoms and then know how to treat it. If you're a diabetic and don't know how to recognize the symptoms of diabetes, okay, then it means all the time you are following me, you are wasting your time. And I always said it. If you have been following me for a year now, 2 years now, 3 years now, and you've not made any changes, you are not seeing any changes in the way you manage your diabetes, then it means you are wasting your time following me. Yes, it means you are wasting your time following me. If you have been following me for a year, 2 years, getting to 3 years, and you've not made any improvement in your management of your diabetes, you've not seen any changes in your diabetes, then it means you are wasting your time. I like it when those that are following me report back to me and say, you know what, they are doing fine since they've been following me. I do get reports. And that gives me more energy to continue. Okay? So, If you have been following me for a long period of time now, by all my teachings here and all my tutorials here, you should be able to know how to manage your diabetes and live comfortably without any headache and live a normal life. So those are the symptoms of gestational diabetes. And let's look at what causes gestational diabetes. We're going to look at the cause of gestational diabetes now. Okay, we're going to look at the cause of gestational diabetes. What causes gestational diabetes? This my allergy is killing me. Why today is? Some days are good, some days are worse. So let's look at the cause of gestational diabetes. Okay, all right, Junie, cool. All right, cool with me, Junie. So let's look at the cause of gestational diabetes. Before I look at the cause, let me go back to, somebody's asking me to repeat what I mean by intentional overdose. As I'm discussing two topics at the same time today. Last week, I did not finish insulin overdose, so I'm finishing it today while discussing gestational diabetes. So let me, somebody's telling me to please repeat what I mean by intentional insulin overdose. We have accidental insulin overdose and we have intentional insulin overdose. So this person is asking, maybe he understood when I discussed about accidental insulin overdose. But he wants me to repeat what I mean by intentional insulin overdose. So let me repeat it again. When somebody's going to say, why do you intentionally overdose yourself with insulin? Why do you intentionally overdose yourself with insulin? It's rare, but it do happen. Okay, people might intentionally, knowingly overdose themselves with insulin. Now, if you or a loved one is experiencing depression is what can make somebody to intentionally overdose themselves with insulin. And I've said it, and I'm going to repeat it again. Depression is a chronic condition. It's a chronic terminal illness. If you or your loved one, any member of your family, or even a friend is going through depression, please do not leave that person alone. Don't say it's not my business, because it might be later you be the victim of that depression. Because when people are going through depression, a lot of thoughts, both good and bad, are going through their mind. It's like the world has abandoned them. Some they are hearing voices. They are thinking, what should I take away my life? Should I just go and run into a car? Should I go and just jump into a river? Should I go and jump over a cliff or a bridge? Should I just go and get a knife and stab my mom, stab my dad, kill my brothers and sisters, kill anybody, my wife, my girlfriend, kill my children? There are different thoughts going through their mind. So when you see someone going through depression, recognize that it's a chronic condition, should never be left alone. They need counseling. They need love and care. They need support to change their mindset, to get them off from that cliff they are into the other world where they'll be okay. So when you see somebody going through depression, don't just say you're your own, because you could be you could be the victim of that depression, or your child or any member of your family could be that depression, because you don't know what is going through your mind. You might see him one day show up in front of your door because you feel that you know him. You say, oh, I know him, or I know her. And you think maybe this is one of those visits he came to see you, and the next thing you see him pointing a gun in front of you or holding a knife. And you may think it's a joke. It's not a joke. By the time you know it, he slash you. And he's not doing it knowingly. It's depression, psychotic moment. So depression can cause you to intentionally overdose yourself with insulin. So that's why they say intentional insulin overdose. You or your loved one is experiencing depression. Consider speaking with a healthcare professional. Okay, send that person to a healthcare professional. They need counseling. It can also be helpful to ensure that you were aware of the emergency signs of symptoms of insulin overdose and then recognize the symptoms of depression. I'm going to discuss depression one of these. Depression has symptoms. It has language for you to identify when somebody is depressed and how to help. So depression is one thing that can cause you to have what we call intentional insulin overdose. Because in your mind, you've been living with diabetes for 5, 6 years, 10 years. You've done everything doctor asks you to do. Friends have asked you, your friends even advise you do this. Another one asks you to do this. You go to this doctor, the doctor is going to say, do this. You go to another doctor, you say, doctor, so I'm going to give you different medication. You've tried different medications. You've gone to even traditional medicine, herbalists. They give you all kinds of promise you that if you think this is going to help solve your problem, cure you, at the end of the day, instead of the situation getting better, it's getting worse day by day. So you look at your life for the past 10 years. So I've done everything that I could do to mitigate against this sugar level, but all my effort is wasted. That can send you into depression because you might be living financially, maybe you are financially okay when you become diabetic because it has drained your pocket, because diabetes is very expensive to treat. Now from being financially well-being, now you are even begging for money to sustain you because all the money has been wasted on drugs and treatment. So that can send you into psychotic depression. That can make you say, you know what, and then you intentionally overdose yourself with insulin. So that is what I mean by intentional insulin overdose. And we have accidental insulin overdose. I discussed it earlier on. So I believe you understood it now. What I mean by intentional insulin overdose. If you or someone you know is in crisis, and considering suicidal or self-harm, please seek support. If there's a local number you have to call in your country that somebody is suicidal, needs support, you call that number. Saminu from Oshogbo, Oshun, you're welcome. So if somebody is into that crisis, considering suicidal or self-harm, call that crisis number that they need help. Or, like in the United States, Canada, all the world, there's a number you have to dial. So we say dial 333, dial 222, whatever number you have to dial when somebody is in that depressed state, in crisis state, and they rush a social care worker there for support. Okay, but just recognize that depression is a chronic condition that need medical attention. Okay, so I believe I've answered that question. And then this one says, and while you wait for help to arrive, for instance, if you have someone that is depressive, that is having this condition, okay, that is going through a crisis of depression, one, you know that they could be suicidal, or self-harm to themselves or to the public, make sure there is no any weapon around them in the house. Take it away from them. Knives, guns, any sharp object, anything that could be turned or turned into a weapon should be taken away from them. Razor, any sharp object that is in that house must be taken away from them if they are passing that through crisis. Okay, so if you have a family member, a relative going through this crisis of depression, don't just say, it's not my problem, you're on your own. Okay? God forbid, you might be the victim of that depression. So when you find yourself in that situation, they need help and love. And make sure that if they are in an environment that have all these instruments, this weapon that can be used as weapon, knife, guns, sharp object, get them away from that house, or move that individual from that house and put them in a safe place where they don't have access to those things. All right? Okay, so let's go to, this one says, guy is I thought it's only intentional overdose. Now you want me to repeat what is accidental insulin overdose. Accidental insulin overdose, okay? Uh, why do you accidentally, unknowingly overdose yourself with insulin? Okay? It's rare for you to accidentally overdose with yourself with insulin, but it do occur. And what are those reasons that can cause you to have accidentally overdose yourself with insulin? Let me look at the reasons why you accidentally overdose yourself with insulin. And I've told you guys why too much of insulin in your system, why it is too bad for you. Okay? Now, Saminu, you are welcome. This is my first time to see you. If you have your question, Saminu, feel free to ask your question. Jumi, if you have your question, get it ready. So let's look at the reasons. I believe I saw Nneka here. Nneka always pop in and pop out. I believe I saw Nneka here. I just saw her sharply and then she's gone again. Nneka is in a honeymoon, so let's just let her be. Okay, so let's look at why you accidentally overdose yourself with insulin. What are the reasons? Number one reason why you accidentally, I hope you are writing it down. I hope you are writing it down so that you don't ask me to repeat it again. We're going to look at the reasons why you accidentally overdose yourself with insulin. Number one is you forgot a previous injection and take another injection before it is due for you to take one. Okay, all right. So let's look at the reasons. I say, what are the reasons that can make you to accidentally overdose yourself with insulin? And I say, said, the first reason is you forgot a previous injection and take another injection before it is necessary. So you've taken an injection, but you could not remember that you've already taken an injection and you take another one before it is due. That could be termed accidental overdose insulin. Now remember, we have different kinds of insulin. We have the fast acting, we have the short range, we have the intermediate, we have the pre-meal, during meal, after meal, all kinds of insulin. All should be taken according to the required time. There are some insulin you take in the morning and there's the ones you're going to take at night. So when you forgot a previous injection and take another one before it is necessary, that is what is called accidental insulin overdose. Number two, you are distracted and accidentally inject too much insulin that you require. When you're taking your insulin in your syringe, some people load it and they know the limit. They have to inject and then they stop and then they seal it back and they keep it for the next one. So now you know that, okay, this is my syringe. I have to stop in the first line here. I can't go to the second line. While injecting yourself, something come up, you are distracted. And then instead of stopping where you're supposed to stop, you inject the whole full syringe instead of the half. Maybe you're supposed to take half. Now because you are distracted, you inject yourself the whole syringe. That could be termed as accidental insulin overdose. Now, the third one is familiarity. Familiarity. What do I mean by familiarity? You are used to one particular type of insulin for a number of years. You've been using this insulin. Doctor have been prescribing it works well for you. All of a sudden, doctor change your insulin to a new product that you are not even used to. Then, because it's a new product, you are not familiar with that, how to use it. Okay? So, an unfamiliar with new product and its use can also cause you to have accidental insulin overdose. Because now you are on a new insulin, you don't know how to use it, you might accidentally use it wrongly, and then that could be termed as accidental insulin overdose. And then the next reason is, remember I said, there are some insulin you take pre-meal, during meal, and post-meal. It depends which one you are taking. Now, if you forget to eat or have an unexpected delay in your eating, that could be termed as accidental insulin overdose. Now you are taking your insulin and you forgot to eat, or there's a delay in your eating. Okay? There's a delay in your eating, or you've not eaten and then you inject yourself. And that insulin is supposed to be taken during meal, not after meal or before meal. So that could be termed as accidental insulin overdose. Now, the next one is, remember I told you guys about exercising while on insulin. If you're on insulin and you want to do exercise, your insulin have to change. You have to reduce the dosage anytime you want to exercise. You have to reduce the dosage of insulin that you're using. Okay? So exercising vigorously without changing the insulin dose, okay, as needed, could be referred as accidental insulin overdose. If you're going to engage in an exercise, you have to reduce your insulin overdose, insulin usage. You cannot take the normal dosage, you have to reduce it before your exercise. So if you are exercising vigorously without changing the dosage and you keep taking the same dosage, that is accidental insulin overdose. Now, the next one is when you take your sister's insulin by mistake and inject yourself. Maybe in a family, you are a family of 4 or 5, two siblings are diabetic. He or she, or he or she are diabetic. And maybe in African culture, I wouldn't say in African culture, in African context, because of which we are going to, I don't know which one I'm going to put it. In Africa, you see siblings sharing the same room, or even possibly sharing the same bed. I can remember when I was in school, okay, we were about 5 of us sharing the same bed. And when I was in school, all of us will lie, this one will lie here, this one will lie here, this one will lie, this one. 5 of us share the same bed. Some will sleep on the floor. So we are all siblings that time. So in Africa, you see siblings sharing the same room, the same bed. Not like in the Western world, whereby a child has he or her own room. Every child has he or her own room. Okay? Or if they are going to share a room, every child is going to have their own bunk, separate in the room. But normally in the Western world, when a child have his own room, even a newborn baby is not allowed to stay in the same room where the mom and the dad sleep. You got to put them in a separate room, So that is it. So if we have 2 siblings sharing who are in the same house, that are diabetic, you might mistakenly take the insulin that he or she prepared and left on the table, and then you walk in thinking that this is your insulin and take it by mistake and inject yourself. So that is what we call take someone's insulin by mistake. That could be referred as insulin overdose. And then the last one is we have some insulin that are taken during the day, during the night and during the morning time. So if you mistakenly switch both of them by taking the evening insulin in the morning or the morning insulin in the night, that could be termed as insulin overdose, accidental insulin overdose. So these are the reasons why you have accidental insulin overdose. And then the other one I explained is intentional insulin overdose. So I believe I've answered your question on those 2 topics, on those 2 answers now. So if you have a question on that insulin, you let me know. Now, I'm going to return back to gestational diabetics. So any question that comes on both of them, we'll answer. So let's go back to what causes gestational diabetes. Now, gestational diabetes occur when your body cannot produce the insulin it needs during pregnancy. Then during pregnancy, your body have too much amount of sugar in the blood, which is termed as hypoglycemia. So during pregnancy, your body produces a larger amount of some hormones, including I'm going to answer that question let me finish this. I'm going to answer your question. What happened when someone take too much insulin? What happened when someone take too much insulin is it in the belly or in the body? What happens when someone take too much insulin in the, I believe you said in the body. All right, I'm going to answer that question. Let me finish this causes of gestational diabetes, and I'll answer that question. Now, gestational diabetes occur when the body cannot produce the insulin it needs during pregnancy, and that usually occurs between the 24th week and the 28th week of the pregnancy. Okay? Now, during pregnancy, the body produces large amount of hormones, including the human placenta lactogen, HPL. You guys know importance of placenta during pregnancy. Okay? I believe you guys know the importance of placenta during pregnancy and other hormones that increase insulin resistance. Now, let me talk about placenta just a little bit, and then we'll continue because somebody asked me, Yvonne asked me this question. I answer that question. During pregnancy, during childbirth, placenta is very, very important. Anything that affects the placenta during pregnancy is going to cause you to have insufficient blood flow to the baby. And if that is not corrected on time, that could cause you to have what we call stillbirth. Placenta must be nourished with sufficient blood flow during pregnancy at all times so that the child will form properly in terms of the brain and then the skull. If the brain and the skull is not properly formed, okay, you have 90% of having a stillbirth. So if there's any issue with placenta during pregnancy and there's no sufficient blood flow to that area, then you are in a critical problem. Okay? So during pregnancy, okay, your body produces a large amount of some hormones, including the human placenta lactogen called the HPL, and also other hormones that increases insulin resistance. Now, these hormones affect your placenta and help sustain your pregnancy. These hormones affect your placenta and help sustain your pregnancy. Now, over time, the amount of these hormones in the body increases. The amount of hormone in the body increases. Okay? Now, they may start to make your body resistant to insulin. Now, the hormone also that regulate your blood sugar levels. And when your body starts resisting insulin, there will be an accumulation of sugar level in your bloodstreams, and thereby you develop what is called gestational diabetes mellitus, with the GDM, or gestational diabetes. Now, that's what causes gestational diabetes. So, if now one thing about insulin overdose, okay? One thing about insulin overdose is that I'm going to give you guys a kind of difference. I'm going to go back to insulin overdose and then insulin itself. When you have insulin overdose, it causes the cells of the body to mop up, absorb up every sugar that is in the bloodstream. I want you guys to understand, because I want to make a difference to what I'm going to say about gestational diabetes in terms of the insulin, how both of them work differently. Both of them work differently. When you have insulin overdose, okay, it causes the cells of the body to absorb all the sugar that is in the blood, and which is very bad, because you need a required amount of sugar in the blood to serve as fuel, the energy you need to function properly. Okay, without the required amount of glucose in the blood, you cannot function properly, because that sugar serves as fuel that you need to function properly. So when you have insulin overdose, it mops up every sugar that is in the blood. That's insulin overdose. And also, it makes the liver to release less glucose. It makes the liver to release less glucose, and that is what the combination of these two things is not going to cause you to have what is called hypoglycemia. It's going to shoot your blood sugar level down. That's insulin overdose. Now, when we go to gestational diabetics, the insulin, what I'm trying to say, what causes you to have gestational diabetes is because the body is not producing enough insulin that you require during pregnancy. Now, why? Because of certain hormones, the large amount of hormones that the body produces during pregnancy. We have the HPL and other insulin that, other hormones that causes you to have insulin resistance. And you guys know when you have insulin resistance, okay, your pancreas is not functioning properly, insulin is not being released, and there's accumulation of glucose level in your bloodstreams. Now, insulin in the gestational diabetes help to move the glucose out of your body into your cells. Do you guys see the difference between the insulin overdose and the insulin that is in the gestational diabetics? The insulin overdose causes the cells of your body to absorb every sugar that is in the blood, and also causes the liver to release less glucose, thereby making you to have hypoglycemia. While the insulin in the gestational diabetics, why you become gestational diabetes, that you are resistant to insulin, and thereby there's an accumulation of sugar level in your bloodstream. And what is that insulin? That insulin helps to move glucose out of your blood into the cells where it is used for energy. It didn't say absorb all, it moved the excess glucose level from the blood into the cells where it's going to be used as energy. And remember, I've said it, while the excess glucose level that is floating in your bloodstream, it cannot yet be classified as fuel until it enters the cells of the body, where it's going to be converted and used as energy, the fuel that you need to function properly. So while it is floating in your bloodstreams, the excess glucose level, it cannot yet be classified as fuel. Rather, it is harmful to your health, causing damages to you and accompanied with symptoms. So when the insulin in the gestational diabetes, it helps to move those glucose level into the cells of the body where it's going to be used as energy. It did not say absorb all the sugar level. It says move the glucose level from the blood to the cells. Okay, so you have to differentiate the two. Okay, now, okay, so that is what causes gestational diabetes, because you are resistant to insulin because the large amount of hormone that your body produces through pregnancy, and because those hormones, it affects the functionality of your insulin to act properly to get rid of those excess glucose level from your bloodstream. Instead, it is piling up and thereby cause you to have hyperglycemia. Did you guys understand what I said? It's like I'm talking to myself. We're going to look at the risk of gestational diabetics. Before we look at the risk of gestational diabetes, let's go back. I'm going to answer that question about insulin overdose. Julie, you're welcome. It's like I'm talking to myself. All of you are not contributing. Okay. So let me answer this question. Okay. He said, what happens if you take too much insulin? That's what I just explained before. Okay, if you take too much insulin, all right, it causes your body, it causes the cells of your body to absorb all the sugar that is in the blood. That is one. And two, it causes the liver to release less glucose. Now, taking too much insulin can also increase the risk of hypoglycemia. Why does it increase the risk of hypoglycemia? One, because it's absorbing all, when you take too much insulin and it becomes overdose, it's absorbing every sugar that is in the bloodstream. And once they absorb them, there's no more sugar in the bloodstream. It now causes the liver to release less glucose. The two combination of these two is going to cause you to have hypoglycemia. Okay, that's a condition where your sugar level drop below a healthy range. And if your level drops too low, it can lead to what is called hypoglycemia, also known as diabetic shock. I've told you guys there's a range that you can drop your sugar level, you go into shock, okay? And then severe symptoms will start emanating. And I wouldn't want anybody to go into that diabetic shock when your sugar level drop below where it's supposed to be. Below where it's supposed to be, you shouldn't allow your sugar level to drop to that extent. So that is what happens when you take too much insulin, okay? It causes the cells of your body to absorb all the sugar in the bloodstream, and also causes the liver to release less glucose level. The combination of these two things can cause you to have hypoglycemia, and then it depends, could it be mild hypoglycemia or could it be severe hypoglycemia? Last week when we were discussing about it, I give you guys the symptoms of mild hypoglycemia and also give you the symptoms of severe hypoglycemia. So this is what happens when you take too much insulin. All right, so let's go back to our gestational diabetes. Do you have any question? Okay, we have another question here. It says, what should you do if you accidentally take the wrong insulin? What should you do if you accidentally take the wrong insulin? What should you do? Can somebody answer that question? What should you do if you accidentally take the wrong insulin? Remember I said, okay, insulin overdose is a medical emergency. Insulin overdose is a medical emergency and requires emergency medical attention immediately. When you have insulin overdose, it's not something you treat at home. It requires emergency medical treatment. You must report, take the person to the hospital to get a medical attention immediately. So if you accidentally take the wrong type of insulin, there are several steps, okay, you can take to avoid hypoglycemia. There are several steps, okay. I don't know whether to switch. Just a minute. My sinus is coming again. Hold on, I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. All right. So let's answer that question what should you do if you accidentally take the wrong insulin? What should you do? There are several steps to take when you take too much insulin. Uh, when you accidentally take the wrong insulin, you have to continuously monitor your sugar level constantly. You have to continuously monitoring your sugar level constantly, one, and then taking more carbohydrate to help to increase your blood sugar level. Two, that is two. One is monitoring your sugar level constantly, and then secondly is taking more carbohydrate to increase your blood sugar levels. And when I talk about carbohydrate, we are talking about something that contains sugar. Or even if that thing contains carbohydrate, that's okay. Okay? So you have to find something that contains carbohydrate or something that contains sugar to take it in order to increase your blood sugar level where it's supposed to be. Okay? Now, it does not help. Okay? If it does not help and your symptoms worsen, you know where to go, to the hospital. And that is why it is a medical emergency when you have insulin overdose. It's not something you should treat at home. You must report yourself to the hospital to be taken care of. So that is what you should do if you accidentally take the wrong insulin. Let's go back to who is at risk of gestational diabetes. Are those at risk of gestational diabetes? Okay? You may have a higher risk of developing gestational diabetes if you fall into these categories. If you fall into these categories, okay, then there's a probability that you may or may not have gestational diabetes. One, if you're hypertensive, that is, if you have a high blood pressure, if you have a high blood pressure and you're a woman, the probability of you having a gestational diabetes will be there. And that is why most women that are planning to have pregnant, bear a child, either before, during, or after pregnancy, your doctor will make sure that your blood pressure are all okay. Your blood pressure to make sure they are all okay. That is one requirement. It must. The mom blood pressure must be normal until after birth, even after birth. If your blood pressure is not fine, it's a risk. It poses a risk to you as a mom and to the child. So that could put you at a risk of developing gestational diabetes. Now, if your doctor during your antenatal period, okay, and your doctor see this symptom that you have high blood pressure, that is when the doctor will now say, let me test you for gestational diabetes, because there's a probability you might have a gestational diabetes because of your high blood pressure status. Okay, so these are the risk factors doctors consider and then require for a test for gestational diabetes. If you as a mom is hypertensive. And then the second reason is if you have a family history of diabetics. If you have a family history of diabetes in your family, then you are at risk of developing gestational diabetes during pregnancy. Okay? Now, the third reason is, are you overweight before you became pregnant? Are you overweight before you became pregnant? And that is why if you are planning to have baby, if you and your husband, your boyfriend are planning to have child, if you're a woman, if you are overweight, try to reduce your weight before getting into pregnancy. You must try as much as you can to reduce your weight. Your body mass index matters a lot. Okay, so family history of diabetes are the factors doctors are going to consider to test you for gestational diabetes. Are you overweight before pregnancy? Remember, if you're overweight and diabetes don't go hand in hand. Okay. Now, are you not physically active? If you are a mom and trying to have a child, are you physically active? Are you the type that goes to exercise? If you are not the type that is physically active, those are the risk factors those are going to consider the probability of you having gestational diabetes. Okay. Now, the next one is, do you gain weight? Okay, you gain a weight, larger amount of weight during your pregnancy. There are some women, when they become pregnant, they start gaining weight. And when you start gaining weight during the pregnancy, then you start a high risk of you developing gestational diabetes. Okay? If you are expecting multiple babies, quadruple, multiple babies, if you're expecting them, then you are at risk of developing gestational diabetes. Okay? Now, if you have previously given a birth, if you have previously given a birth and the child weighs more than 9 pounds, okay, if you have given a birth and the child weighs more than 9 pounds, then you are at risk of developing gestational diabetes. So if you have previously given birth to a baby weighing more than 9 pounds, okay, or if you have gestational diabetes in the past, have you had gestational diabetes in the past? Okay. Now the next reason, if you have uh, sorry about that. I don't know why my allergies are so bad today. All right, I'll be fine. If you have unexplained miscarriage or stillbirth, if you have unexplained miscarriage or stillbirth, like Yvonne, in the beginning of this program, Yvonne, are you still there? Yvonne, this particular, I was answering your question about, you're telling me about your stillbirth, okay? And then I asked you, you said they did not do any investigation. Neka, you say sorry, I didn't understand your story. Neka, can you explain more? Yvonne, before you told me you had a, yes, okay, you are there. Okay, so you see now, you told me, you said they did not investigate after your stillbirth. Normally, they're supposed to. When a woman has a stillbirth or miscarriage, the hospital is supposed to investigate and then tell the woman the cause so that she can now prevent it in the past. So now, who is at risk of gestational diabetes? Okay, we're not discussing who is at risk of gestational diabetes. Is mom that have an unexplained miscarriage or stillbirth in the past. Oh, okay, thank you. Okay, so mom that have unexplained miscarriage or stillbirth in the past stand a high risk of them having gestational diabetes. And that is why any stillbirth or any miscarriage is supposed to be investigated and then explain to the mom or to the woman this is the reason, so that she can now correct it in the future of any child. So don't just let the woman walk away. She has a stillbirth, you just discharge her without telling her anything. How is she going to know in the future how to make sure there's no more further miscarriage? And that's why women keep getting miscarriage, because the doctors are not investigating and telling them this is why you're having miscarriages. Any miscarriage must be investigated and treated and then explained to the woman for future pregnancy. And when it comes to stillbirth, the same thing is supposed to be investigated and explained to the mom for future pregnancy. So if you had an unexplained miscarriage or stillbirth, now you are standing a chance of you developing gestational diabetes. Now, so that is why Yvonne comes in here. So now if you are taking too much steroids, or if you are on steroids, can also put you at risk of you developing gestational diabetes. Okay. So these are those who are at risk of developing gestational diabetes. I'm gonna share it on my column section that you guys can read it at your own time. Okay. Yeah, Yvonne, you were telling me that your child was weighing 4.5 kilogram. Okay, 4.5 kilogram is a good weight because your child is not weighing more than 9 pounds. If it's weighing more than 9 pounds, then that's an issue. But it says 4.5 kilogram. So, okay. So I'll share that one. You guys can read it. All right. Um, okay. Um, so we're going to be looking about different type of gestational diabetics. Before I do that, before I do that, um, let's see what. There's no comment on my YouTube. Just hold on, please. I need to take care of myself, and I'll be back. I need to take care of myself, and I'll be back. I don't know why this. Today is a beautiful day. I don't know why. Anytime the temperature is very high, my allergies come in. Okay. I don't know. I know I have to go. It's already late. I have to go and take my allergy injection, but it's already late. I'm supposed to take it. I can't. So I'm going to take this now. Okay. To deal with my allergies. All right. Okay, so I'm gonna cut one of this. I'm gonna put this one back. Okay. And then I'm going to take my hot water. Right. Okay, just a minute. All right, so let's try to. Okay, so now Yvonne says, the more reason I had feared to conceive again, I gave up. Yvonne, do not give up. Do not give up. Okay, if you still have, if you are still, if you are still able to have a child, if you are still within the age range to have a child, go again. Do not give up. Don't say I have given up. All right. Don't say you have given up. People with living with diabetics, I've seen people, women with diabetics, they still give birth, a healthy child, you know. So in my practice, I see a lot of them, they still give birth. All they have to do, okay, let me give you a tips, all you have to do. If you want to have if you want to get pregnant again, say for instance, next year, you and your husband, you are planning to have a baby, starting from next year, okay, you start from now managing your diabetics properly. Get everything in order. Start now managing your diabetes properly. Make sure that the sugar level doesn't creep up. Okay, I'm telling you this. Do it. You'll come back and tell me. Okay, what I'm canceling you, I've canceled to a lot of people. I've canceled it, so I know what I'm talking about. If you are planning to have a, say for instance, you and your husband are planning to have a child. Say for instance, today we're in June. It's okay. In July next year, we made a plan to try to have another baby. You start now. Make sure that you eat healthy. Your diet must be healthy. Eat healthy food, a lot of vegetable food, abstain from too much carbohydrate, a lot of fiber food, and then try to exercise. Try to exercise, try to reduce some weight, shed some weight. Go and make sure you buy this weight machine at home that you can test your weight at home. Be physically active. Start eating healthy, exercise, be disciplined in exercise, check your weight every day, check your every time to make sure you reduce your weight. Okay, take your medications, start controlling your sugar level. If you can control your sugar level for 1 good year, it doesn't go up. It's stable. Anytime you go your A1C test, it's showing normal, stable. And then since you and your husband have planned to have a child from July, okay, once you start doing all those, setting the foundation, eating healthy, exercising, okay, make sure you don't eat too much carbohydrate, exercising, a lot of fruit and vegetables, okay, stay under, make sure you are not stressed out, don't allow anything to bother you, be on a good mood, relax your mind, stay away from stresses, control your sugar from now to June next. We're in June, July. You want to start having baby from July. You're not going to get pregnant now until July. You start doing all those things, controlling your sugar level, eating healthy, preparing yourself. You prepare yourself mentally, emotionally, prepare yourself. Your husband have to also help you to prepare yourself. Both of you plan it. Prepare yourself, okay? Do this, make sure that your A1C test for the next 1 year remains normal. By July next year, when you guys say that you are ready to get pregnant, you start your antenatal period and all these things, you have your gynecologist, you're going to have a normal baby. even though you develop gestational diabetes during pregnancy, it's going to be rare for you to develop gestational diabetes if you started now putting everything in order. It's like somebody who wants to build a house. I want to build $100 million house. You don't have the money, you got to start now saving the money. When you lay all the foundations, come that July, it will be rare for you to experience gestational diabetes, even though this means stillbirth. You check yourself, make sure you go and check yourself, make sure that the fallopian tube, everything, ovaries, everything is okay. Okay? Make sure make sure you don't experience your placenta doesn't have deficiency in blood flow, because why you have that problem? Because your placenta have a deficiency in blood flow. You have an issue with your placenta, and there's deficiency in your blood flow because of the nerves. So make sure that everything works fine. You've gone through a series of tests. Your doctor say you're okay, everything is okay. You see that come that July, you take in, you're gonna have a very healthy baby. It's rare for you to have that gestational diabetes. So you have to prepare yourself mentally and medically for everything to go the way it's supposed to go. You being as a diabetic. Okay, you make sure your blood pressure is okay, your sugar level is okay, your cholesterol is okay. Okay, make sure that all these things fall into place. You see that you're going to have a healthy baby. Okay, so don't say you've given up. Don't say you've given up. I don't want to hear you say you've given up. Okay, I want to hear from you. You were in a live program. You tell me, oh, listen, I conceive. I have a bouncing healthy baby. That's what I want to hear from you in the next 2 years from now. So don't give up. Don't give up. Say you don't want to have any more baby. No. If you are within the healthy range, age range, give it a go with you and your husband. Okay, you need the support of your husband to accomplish it. All right, that's what I would suggest you do. Okay, and the other way is going to be very expensive. I don't want you to go to the expensive. There are other ways for you to conceive, but that one is going to be very expensive for you to do that. This is the natural way. It's not going to cost you anything. It's all about planning, setting everything in place. The other one, in vitro. If I ask you to go in vitro is going to be very expensive. So I don't know whether you have the resources, the finance to do in vitro. So if you know that you will be having miscarriages or stillbirth, you can do in vitro with you and your husband, but I don't know if you have the resources to do in vitro. In vitro has chances, 99% of chances of you avoiding that stillbirth, because everything is timed before in vitro is taking place. But do you have the resources in terms of the finance for you to do in vitro? But this one, you and your husband, is natural. It doesn't cost you anything, but everything have to be in place. Medically, you and your husband, especially you as a woman that you're going to carry the baby, you must make sure you are medically in a good state, both psychologically and mindset. Emotionally, you are ready to go. But you got to start now setting the thing in stone, setting everything in stone. So move that mindset that you don't want to, you have given up. Don't give up. If you want to have a child, you can still have a child, but do all these things I told you to do and see the result. Okay, let's go to Jimmy. Jimmy says, what is the normal A1C? Your normal A1C, okay, 6%. 6%. Okay, 6%. Keep it at 6%. Every 3 months. Keep it at 6%, 6.1, 6.2, but I always ask, keep it at 6%. 6.5 is okay, but make sure it doesn't cross 7%. But 6%, keep it as, if you can bring it at 6%, 5.6, 5.8, 5.9, that's okay. 6.2, 6.3, 6.4, 6.5, that's okay, but make sure it does not cross 7. All right, Jimmy. So let's look at the different forms of gestational diabetics. Let's look at the different forms of gestational diabetics. Any more question? Yvonne, you have any more question, Yvonne? Jimmy, okay, that's it. Okay, so make sure you keep it at 6, okay? It doesn't cross 6. 5.8 between uh, even 4, okay? Make sure it doesn't go below 4. Between 4.1, 4.2, up to 5, up to 5.8, okay? 6, that's okay. Let it not go above it. Okay, anything above it, above 6, 6, even 6.5, some doctors are going to say 6.5 is 6.5 and above is a diabetics. Okay, but if you can keep it down to 6 or below 6, say between 4, 4.0, 4.1, up to 5.8 or 5.9 is fine. That's good A1C level. Okay, even 6.1, 6.2 is okay. Some doctors are going to say even 6.3 is diabetic. So it depends on the range. It depends on the age also. The age matters. Other risk factors matters again. They're going to consider other risk factors to make sure, and they say, okay, 6 or 6.2. But medically, 6.5 and above can be considered as diabetic. Okay, so that is why sometimes I say keep it at 6 to be on the safe side. Between 4 and 6. 4% and 5.8% is okay, good normal as a diabetes because of you also have to consider your age. It's good. All right, so there's different things they're going to consider. 6.1 also is considered good. 6.2 is also considered good. 6.3 is also considered. But when it goes to 6.5 and above, they will tell you it's a diabetics. So that is why I tend to keep it at 6 for everyone. All right. So let's look at the different forms of gestational diabetes. We have two forms of gestational diabetes. We have the A1 and the A2. We have the class A1 and we have the class A2 gestational diabetes. Okay, there are different forms of gestational diabetes. Okay, now just class A1 gestational diabetes are those type of gestational diabetes that can only be managed through diet. So when you have gestational diabetes that is class A1, okay, when you have gestational diabetes that is class A1, we have two types, class A1 and class A2. Class A1 is a form of gestational diabetes that can only be managed through dieting. Okay? And then class A2 gestational diabetes is a form of gestational diabetes where it requires insulin or oral medications needed to manage those conditions. So in class A2, you require oral or insulin to manage it, while class A1, you can only manage it through dieting. So these are the different forms of gestational diabetes. Okay, the way we have type 1 and type 2 diabetes, we have class A1 and we have class A2 gestational diabetes. All right. So, do we have any question again before we round up? Do we have any question before we round up? All right. Do we have any question before we round up? Let me see what Junie says here. Let's see what Junie says here. Come on, don't give me a headache now. Okay. I want to see what Junie says here. It says, when should your doctor prescribe medication? Okay, when should your doctor prescribe medication? Okay. Uh, Junie says, when should a doctor prescribe medication? Okay. Now, that's what I wanted to discuss about how it is treated before your question comes in. Okay. If you are diagnosed with gestational diabetics, okay, the treatment will depend on different factors. Okay, it will depend on your blood sugar levels throughout the day. So, if you develop gestational diabetes during pregnancy, there are certain factors that are taken into consideration. One is, what are your sugar levels throughout the day? That is one thing doctors look at while the woman is pregnant. I want to know, Judy says, when your A1C level is 5.7. Let me see. Judy, I don't understand your question because you asked me a question. It says, when should your doctor prescribe medication? And that is what I was trying to answer. And he said, when your A1C is 5.7. Is it two different questions, or is it two different questions? Or one question? Because he said, I'm answering your question when your doctor can prescribe you medication, and then he says, when your A1C level is 5.7. So I don't understand. Is it a different question or the same question with the first one? Can you explain much better? Now, if you are pregnant and then you have gestational diabetes during pregnancy, it can only occur during pregnancy. First thing the doctor have to find out what is your sugar level throughout the day. Not throughout the night, it's throughout the day. Now, your doctor is going to also advise you to test your blood sugar level before and after meal. Okay, he will also advise you on how to manage these conditions by eating a healthy diet, food, and also exercise. Okay? Those are going to tell you those things as a new patient that first one. Um, okay, you said the first one. Let me go back to that question again. You said the first one. The first one is when should your doctor prescribe medication? Juni, let me try to understand because when you still say the first one is confusing. You want me to answer the first one, or when should your doctor prescribe medication when your A1C is 5.7? Is that what you mean? Are you saying that when should your doctor prescribe medication when your A1C level is 5.7? Is that what you mean? Because that's going to be a different answer I'm going to give. If your A1C level is 5.7, okay, why would your doctor prescribe you medication? If your A1C level is 5.7, your A1C level is good. Okay, if your A1C is 5.7%, it's good. That means your glucose level is stabilizing because you do your A1C level every 3 months. Your A1C level measures your average sugar level for the past 3 months. So if for the past 3 months your glucose level is 5.7, it's good. So why would your doctor prescribe you medication when your A1C level is at 5.7? Already you're supposed to be on medication because already you're on medication in treating your diabetes. You are taking medication, and also you are eating. You've changed your diet to eat healthy, and you're exercising, and then you go for your A1C test result, and it shows 5.7. So for the past 3 months, you are doing the correct thing. You are taking your medication, you are eating healthy, you are exercising, and then you go for the test, your A1C level shows 5.7. That means it's good. So which medication again should he prescribe? That is why I say your question is inverted. It's not making, because for you to, first of all, you have to understand A1C tech. A1C tech measures your glucose level for the average past 3 months. For the past 3 months, that is what they are testing your A1C to see for the past 3 months, what is your A1C level. Now your A1C level the result comes at 5.7. That means it's good. And for you to achieve, for that past 3 months, your medication, you are eating healthy and you are exercising. And then you go for the A1C test now, it shows 5.7. So what medication is he applying again? Already you're on medication. You are eating healthy, you are exercising, and the time for you to do your A1C test, your result comes out shows 5.7. So what medication again does you want him to prescribe? So that's why I say you are inverting, your question is inverted. Am I making any sense to you? Okay, so if you understand, so there's no medication to prescribe. When to prescribe medication, there's no prescribe. Already your medication, you are taking your medication for your A1C result to be 5.7 before you go for the test. You are eating healthy. So he's not supposed to prescribe you another medication when your A1C is already at 5.7 because you're already on medication before going on that test. All right? Okay. Okay. Any other question? Yvonne, are you still there? I was expecting you to respond. Are you still there, Yvonne? We are waiting to see if there's any other question. I'm going to, after this program, there's something I want to test. I'm going to fry a ripe plantain. There's something I want to test. And then I'm going to give you guys the result tomorrow. There's something I'm going to test with olive oils. The person told me, the dietitian told me do it with olive oil. So I'm going to test it. The dietitian told me I got my ripe plantain. Okay, tomorrow I'm going to do it today after the. I'm going to do my dietitian told me to do something with olive oil. I have to go and get olive oil. She told me how to do it. Because I'm supposed to go on a green plantain. So after my consign, he said, no, do this with olive oil, fry it with olive oil, and he asked me things to use with it. And then once I finish with it, tomorrow I'll give you the result. So first of all, I have to try it and see if it, well, I can't doubt her. That's her profession. But yeah, she advised me go and do it and see. So I will do it by myself tomorrow. How did my sugar went crazy? Yes, yeah, June, yes. That's my concern. I did. I told her my concern, and he said, "Listen, go and do it and get back." So I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to say anything until I tried it by myself and follow the instructions. Test my sugar level before, during, and after, and then I'll let you guys know tomorrow. I believe in practical. So I bought 2 ripe plantain, and I'm going to, he said, use olive oil. It must be olive oil. It must be olive oil, nothing else. And then the quantity of the oil I have to measure with teaspoon. I have to measure it with teaspoon. It must be that teaspoon. And then see how it goes. So I'm not going to say anything now until I tried it after I finish this program. That's going to be my lunch. Okay? And then I will see the reaction. And if it goes well, I'll report it tomorrow when we are going to have a live program. If it doesn't go well, then I'll let you guys know, and I'll let the dietitian know it doesn't go well. Okay? So I'm going to wait first until I tried it before I can recommend it to anybody. Okay, so first of all, I have to do it by myself and see how it goes. Hopefully it's gonna end well. Because I'm scared of using it, but it told me go and do it. That's what I'm missing. I'm doing it the wrong way. So when I do it, if it goes well with me, then I can recommend. I will tell you guys how to do it, the ingredients, and then see how it if it's gonna be okay. Because I always go for green plantain. So do we have more question? What am I going to eat with it? I'm gonna spinach. Spinach. What she told me to do it. She wrote it down precisely. I'm going to follow the way she wrote the quantity of the things I'm going to use to fry it the way she wants. But she insists it must be olive oil, nothing less than olive oil, and the teaspoon. How many quantity of teaspoon to use? So that's just the little I'm going to just say until I tried it and see if I'm going to have a reaction. And I'm going to check my sugar level before I take it and after. So I'm kind of practical. So I'm not going to doubt what she said, but I'm just going to do it. That's why I bought two. Now, I'm going to get spinach. I don't miss spinach. Spinach is good for diabetic because of the richness of the fiber that is in it. So spinach, I'm going to use spinach in it. Okay, and then I have my salmon fish. Salmon, okay, grilled with the same olive oil, and then spinach and my onions cut, my green pepper, jalapeno pepper, okay, and my olives, black olives. That's what I'm going to prepare separately. But on the way she want me to fry this and the quantity and the ingredient, I bought about 5 ingredients I bought already. So I'm going to use it today. As soon as I finish, I'm going to try it, and then tomorrow I'm going to give you guys feedback. All right. So that is it. But what I miss is my dumpling soup. I love dumpling soup, but due to my diabetic, I stopped eating it. But dumpling soup is one of my favorite in terms of the Caribbean dishes. Dumpling soup. All right. Okay. So do we have any other question? I'm not seeing Yvonne. Are you still there? Do you have any question, Yvonne? Or who again? Neka. You're silent. Barbara. Yeah, Barbara. Barbara, so you are here. I didn't know that you are still here. I didn't know you are still. I thought you've gone. I'm going to try that plantain and see how it goes, and I'm going to report back tomorrow. Barbara, I don't know you are still here. I thought you've just left. You left because you didn't ask any questions. I didn't see you contribute to any questions, so I'm surprised that you are still here. So, how is your situation? How is your diabetics? How are you handling it? Are you checking your sugar level, Barbara? Okay. When you say you are learning from others, what are you learning? You got to be very careful what you learn, and then you have to buy the machine. Barbara, you got to be very careful what you learn, so that you don't go and learn the wrong thing. Because some friends are going to tell you, oh, go to use herbal medicine, go and depend on herbal medicine, go to a herbalist, traditional medicine, or they tell you go to this shop, all those things they sell on the street, and they start taking it. Because you are a newly diabetic patient, you got to be very careful the kinds of people that are advising you, so they don't go and damage your organs by taking certain medications that you're not supposed to take. All right, so you got to be very careful the kinds of advice you receive in terms of dealing with diabetic, because at the end of the day, you are the one who's going to pay the ultimate price, not the person advising you. At the end of the day, you are the person who's going to pay the ultimate price if you mismanage it poorly and you start having complications. And those people that are advising you are not going to be there. Okay, so you got to be very careful on the kinds of advice you receive in terms of diabetics. Diabetics, you have to stay within the conformity. You have to learn the language, learn those things they ask you not to do, and stick to those things they ask you to do. There is no shortcut for diabetics. There's not like shortcut, no. I can understand because it's very costly, it's very expensive to treat diabetics. But even if it's very expensive, do not go and subjugate yourself to a cheap medication that is going to even cause you more damage to your organs. Okay, all right. So my page is open. You can text, you can email me, send me message if you need more clarifications. Anytime. I think I was communicating with you during the week. If you have more, if you are confused in certain things, you can send me a message. I'll respond. All right. Diabetics, Junie, I'm going to answer. I'm going to come to your comment. Diabetics has no shortcut. There's nothing like I'm going to shortcut to arrive at the aim. No. Okay. Diabetes, I know, yes. In time, like now, you say you don't have the device. You can't get the device, or maybe because of the financial situation you cannot afford the device. All right. You cannot afford the device. You need that device to measure your sugar level at all time. Now, as I said to you, even though you cannot afford to treat diabetics, in terms of medication affordability, it is not a must that you must be on medication to live a normal life to manage it. There are millions of people who are not on medications. They're able to control their sugar level and live a normal life as others, no complications. It's all about discipline. It's all about dieting, the kinds of food you eat, and then you have to exercise. The kinds of drinks, you must stop drinking certain drinks. It's a goodbye. All those Fanta, sugar, all this food, ice cream, all these things that contains a lot of sugar, you got to say goodbye to them. Sweet biscuits that have too many sugar, you got to say goodbye to them. Okay, alcohol, you got to stay away from it because you're on medication. Okay, social drinking is a little bit. Okay, so drink a lot of water at all times. You got to control your craving. The craving here, your organ, that craving that make you to like sugary items. You know, now that you are a diabetic, even though you drink, okay, let me show. Hold on, I'm coming. Let's do some practicals now. Okay, Barbara, I'm going to spend for the next 20 minutes just educate you a little bit. Now that you are a newly diabetic patient, okay? You are a newly diabetic patient. Diabetic has a language. You have to understand the language and know how to speak the language. Not everyone understands the language. Diabetic has a language that you have to know how to speak it and how to educate yourself with it. Diabetic has a rules and regulation that you must obey. It's not a choice. Diabetic has a rule and regulation that you must obey. It's not a choice. You have to live within the conformity of that rules and regulation if you want to live long. If you stop disobeying those rules laid down to you and start doing the kinds of things you want to do, it means you're not going to live long. You are going to pay the ultimate price, death. It's as simple as every city. And I'm going to make it the way you can understand it. If you fail to live within the conformity of diabetics, if you fail to follow the rules and regulations of diabetics, you can become blind, lose your eyesight. Too much sugar level is going to damage your nerves, your retina, and then you lose your sight. All of a sudden, you wake up one day, you cannot even see anymore. That is one. Too much of diabetes can cause you to have high blood pressure. Maybe now you are not a hypertensive patient, you don't have a high blood pressure, but because you fail to control your sugar level, it makes you to develop high blood pressure. Now you have two chronic conditions for the rest of your life: diabetes and high blood pressure, because you're going to drink your tablet for the rest of your life. If you fail also to control your diabetes, it's going to make you to have bad cholesterol, another chronic condition, making it three. More money you're going to spend buying medication to control your cholesterol, control your high blood pressure, and control your diabetics. Now you are struggling to buy medication for diabetics. If you don't control your sugar level, it's going to make you to become hypertensive. That's another money to buy medication for the rest of your life. If you don't control it again, it's going to cause you to have bad cholesterol. Another money again. Now, if these three chronic conditions can cause you to develop stroke, heart attack, or even death, all of a sudden you just collapse and die. That's it. All of a sudden you just fall down and die. Because that's why when you die, they say you die due to the complications of diabetes. That means you fail to control your diabetics. And that's why you develop high blood pressure, cholesterol. If you fail also to control your diabetics, also, it's going to start damaging your kidney and your liver. Anytime your sugar level goes high, it is attacking your kidney and your liver. When you have diabetics newly, diabetes doesn't want to waste time on you. He wants to kill you and move to the next patient. When you are newly diagnosed with diabetics, he doesn't want you to live long. He wants to kill you and go to the next patient. And that's why it attacks the liver and the kidney, because these are the easiest way to cut you short. Because kidney is not something you go to the market and get. If you don't have anybody to donate your kidney, that's it, goodbye. If you don't have someone to donate your liver, that's higher 6 months, 1 year, you are gone. So you have to make sure you control your sugar level in order to safeguard your kidneys and your liver. If you fail to control your sugar level also, you're going to have what they call diabetic neuropathy, your feet. When you start having that burning sensation in your feet, numbness in your hands and your feet, when your sugar level goes up, you start having that burning sensations and numbness and tingling in your feet because your sugar level is high. And when that thing is occurring, it is damaging your nerves and blood vessels in those areas. There comes a time those nerve vessels in those areas will be completely damaged, that blood cannot flow in that area anymore. And when blood is not flowing in that area, you can have an injury in your leg, and you don't even know that you have an injury because there's no feeling sensation in those legs. Blood are not flowing in those areas. And because you don't know you have injury in your legs, there's a possibility of an infection through those injuries that is going to cause you to have an amputation. They cut your leg off because there's an infection through those injuries in your leg, because you didn't know that you have an injury, because the nerves in those areas are completely dead because you have too much sugar level. Another thing again, you're a woman, you want to have baby, you want to enjoy intimacy with your boyfriend, you want to enjoy intimacy with your husband. If you don't control your sugar level and you love intimacy with your husband, with your boyfriend, if you don't control it, it's going to damage the nerves around that area, whereby you can't even enjoy it anymore. You can't even feel it. When your husband is in that area, it's like he's wasting his time. It's just, don't disturb me, just get this and get out of me. Because it has damaged that sensitive organs that make you to enjoy it. Or when he wants to enjoy with you, you say, hey, don't disturb me. Every time when he comes, you just push him away because you don't want it. Because it's like it's irritating you. When your husband touch you at night, it's like it's irritating you. Why are you touching me? Because the sensation in that area is completely dead. The same thing applies to a man. When a man all of a sudden cannot have an erection anymore because he did not control the sugar level, it goes and kill and damage the nerves connecting to that organs, and that's why he doesn't have an erection anymore. And you as a wife will be complaining, why are you not having an erection anymore? You may think another woman has finished him. No, because he's diabetic, he did not control the sugar level. Now, because of the too much sugar, and the sugar level goes and damage the nerves that makes him to have an erection to be able to satisfy you. And you'll be blaming him, maybe he has gone outside and enjoy, he comes home, he can't perform his job anymore, not knowing that the sugar level have damaged that organ, so he cannot have an erection anymore. The only way for him to have an erection is to go and buy Viagra or any kind of medication to give him to have an erection. So these are the I'm just giving you a few complications of or poorly managed diabetics. So now that you are a diabetic, you have to make sure you control your sugar level at all times. Do not allow it to go high. You have to live within the conformity. There is no shortcut to treat diabetics. If you cannot afford the drugs, you can live on dieting, exercising, reducing your weight to live normally. Now that you are a new patient, the craving here, the organ that makes you to like sweet things all the time, is here in front of your head here. Now this thing is controlling you. I'm being practical now. It happens to newly diagnosed patients. The organ that makes you to like sweet thing is here in your brain. This thing is controlling you now. That is why you can drink 5 bottles of water. You are not still satisfied until you give that thing Fanta. Then you relax. You can drink 20 bottles of water. It will not leave you until you take Coke or anything sugar. Then the thing is going to leave you. So what you have to do now is to control this. Don't allow this to control you. You have to make this to say, I'm in charge now. When this thing say, please, I need Fanta, I need Coke, I need 7-Up, give him water. Even if the thing is still disturbing you, please give me Coke, give me Fanta, drink another water. You have to constantly giving this thing water. At a time, this sense organ here is going to change to say, okay, now you know the jigs. If I cry for Coke, you give me water, so I'm not going to bother you anymore, because if I cry for Coke, you give me water, so I'm going to leave you alone and look for the next patient. So you see now, by the time this organ knows that you are giving him water, it's going to stop demanding for Coke, any sweet thing. So you are now in control of that organ here that makes you to like sweet things. It's by drinking water. Okay? Drink as many water. Anytime you see Coke, you say, please give me Coke, look for water to drink. You come back again, say, I need Coke, drink another water. Don't go for Coke. Anything sweet, stay away from it. Keep drinking water until this organ change. So now know that, okay, this one, I can't win anymore, so I have to leave you alone and look for the next patient. So now you reduce the intake of sugary drinks. Okay, avoid sugary drinks, ice cream, all those nonsense things, and then you have to start reading the labels of the kinds of drinks you take. Even though you see a drink, like for instance, this is a Diet Coke. Okay, it says Diet Coke, but don't be fooled. It could be diet. That means there is no sugar added on it. But when you read the label, see if it contains carbohydrate. It might not contain sugar in it, but if it has carbohydrate, stay away from it, because that carbohydrate is same thing as sugar. It must be 000 everything. Now, one more thing. If you read the label, it says carbohydrate 0. fat 0, calorie 0, sugar 0, protein 0. Look at this fine print at the bottom. There is something fine print here, written here. You see this thing written here? At the bottom? Here? Or here? You see all this thing? You see this thing written on the side here? Read it. It might show you 00 here, but read this thing here. Read it. Why? You might see Diet Coke, 0 sugar Coke. Marketers now, producers now, manufacturers now are not making money because many people are diabetic. When they see something with sugar, they stay away from it. So producers now are being smart. They will produce a Coke, say Diet Coke or 0 Coke, and make because they know when you look at it, you are looking at here. Oh, 0, 0, 0, carbohydrate, 0, sugar, 0, and then you buy. But when you look at here, they squeeze in sugar because they know you can't read here. They know you hardly read on this thing here, but there is sugar added on it. But this confuses you here, and then you buy, not knowing that this contains sugar. How do they do it? Added flavor. Anything added flavor, stay away from it. Okay? If it says added flavor, stay away from it. Sugar is in it. Now, another method again is, instead of them using the word sugar, write sugar there, they will use another word that is the same thing as sugar, like glucide. Glucide is the same thing as sugar. Maltose is the same thing as sugar. Fructose is the same thing. So they will not use the word sugar. They will use something like glucide. And when you are reading it, you say, okay, because when you are reading it, you are looking for where you see sugar, but you didn't see any sugar. But you see the word glucide. And you say it's okay. But you're not knowing that you are buying sugar. So what you have to do is, even you have your phone, everybody has a phone now. So when you see a foreign word, here that you don't understand in the store, hold it, go to your phone, Google that word to know the meaning of that thing. You see that 80 to 90% time is sugar. Then you leave it and then move on. So you have to now start reading the labels. So what I'm trying to tell you this in Barbara is that you see some people say they have been taking medication for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 10 years. But every time they go and check their sugar level, it's high, high, high. It's because of they are not following this. They are not reading the labels. They see there is no sugar, but they forget that carbohydrate is sugar. So they are still eating the same thing that contains high carbohydrate. And that carbohydrate, when it goes into your body, it converts it back into sugar. So you see that medication you have been drinking for how many years is wasted time. Because you are drinking medication, but you are drinking 2 bottles of Coke that contain sugar. Now, the kinds of food you have to eat also matters. I told you to stop white rice. As a diabetic, you have to stay away from white rice. White rice falls under simple carbohydrate. You have to eat food that falls under complex carbohydrate. Simple carbohydrate, your body is going to break it down easily and affect your sugar level. Complex carbohydrate, your body cannot break it down at all. So instead of white rice, go for brown rice. You say this is brown rice. This is brown rice. Okay? You go for brown rice. The brown rice, the texture is different. You can know what is a brown rice by the way it tastes, by the texture, the coloration. Okay, brown rice, the coloration is kind of coarse, rough in the hand. It's not smooth. And when you cook a brown rice, you don't cook it with too much water. That's how they cook brown rice, with little water and low heat. You're going to be on a low heat, like 1 or 2, and cover it with a little water. You don't need too much water. And when you finish cooking a brown rice, you can't even like the taste. You won't like the taste. That is why they call it brown rice, because it's less in carb. It contains carbohydrate, minimal carbohydrate, but more in fiber. It is a complex carbohydrate. Your body cannot break down complex carbohydrate, which is brown rice. Okay, so I'm giving you this tutorial. Normally, if you go and meet a dietitian now to give you these classes, you're going to pay to get this information. But I'm giving you this tutorial to guide you as a new patient living with diabetics. Come on, don't give me headache here. Right, Barbara, are you still there? Or am I wasting my time talking to myself? Are you still there, Barbara? I need to know if you are still there, or if I'm wasting my time talking to myself. So Barbara is gone. Barbara, she's gone. She's no more. She's not there. Okay. Since she's not there, because I have other things to show her, things the way she can change her dieting, but she's not here now. So Jumi says I can eat dumpling. How can I eat dumpling, Juni? I can't eat dumpling. Okay, Barbara is still here. So white rice is what brown rice is what you're going to eat. Stay away from white rice. And when you are eating this, white rice, okay, let me show you something again. Oh, what is that? Now, let's go into this. Now, when you are eating this brown rice, remember I said brown rice contains carbohydrate. Even this brown rice contains a little bit of carbohydrate, but it is rich in fiber. Because what you need is more fiber, less carb. You cannot be eating too much carbohydrate. It's more fiber, less carb, like spinach, onions, avocado, green plantain, whole wheat, grains, oatmeals, lettuce, root vegetables, okay? Things that will supply you with fiber and less carbohydrate. Now, even though you are going to eat this rice that I showed you now, you cannot eat this rice. You can't eat rice that is fill this plate. It's too much. This rice I showed you, even if you are going to eat it, this plate is too much for you as a diabetic. Okay? If you eat rice that fill this plate, the carbohydrate in it, even though it is a brown rice, because you are eating a large amount of a large plate, the larger the rice, the larger the amount of carbohydrate, and it's going to affect your glucose level. So you're going to eat every 4 hours, small quantity. You see this plate? See this plate? Compared to this plate. This plate, you take this spoon, you see how big this spoon is? About 3 or 4 into this plate. That's it. Okay? So you're going to be eating a smaller quantity every 4 hours. Okay? Orange, lemon, stay away from mango, banana, all those. You're going to stay away from anything that contains sugar. A lot of, cucumber is like water. You can take as much cucumber as you want. Okay? Berries are okay, but mango, banana, out. A lot of orange. Orange is a superfruit, fortified with fiber, okay, and has an antioxidant in it. A lot of lemon. Now, when it comes to swallow, people that like to swallow in your village, this cornmeal food, bye bye. You can't eat cornmeal anymore. It's a starch carbohydrate. Yam, no more. Semolina, no more. Cassava meal, no more. All those are starch carbohydrate. You can't be eating those food. So instead of you eating those food, you can go for, you see like this one is what I eat. You see like oat flour? You see like oat flour here? You see? This oat, okay, is rich in fiber. All those semolina, cornmeal, bye-bye. See, this is what I eat. If I want to eat it with soup, oat flour. So you go for oats, whole wheat, grains, whole grains, millet, all those, these are the kinds of things you're supposed to be eating. All right, and then exercise. You have to live within the rules of diabetics. Nothing like my friend is telling me to go and see a herbalist. If you go and see a herbalist, traditional medicine, you are killing yourself. I can bet you are going to end up in the hospital when your kidney and liver is gone. By that time, we're going to be saying goodbye. We'll see you in the next world. Because those herbalists, those traditional medicine is not going to cure your diabetics. Diabetes has no cure. Anybody telling you that if you take this medication it's going to cure you, you are just wasting your money and you are just killing your organs. Gradually you end up to your grave. You can never, there's no one medication that cures diabetes. Can you manage it? Yes. Can you treat it? Yes, there are medication to treat it. And that treatment is what is about controlling your sugar level. If you are able to control your sugar level, you're going to live a normal life. Okay? Now, every food you're going to eat have to be in a smaller, you're going to eat food in moderation. Moderation. Gone are the days you eat bigger food. No. As a diabetic, it has to be in a smaller quantity every 4 hours. Salad, vegetable salad, yes. Okay? These are the kinds of food you're going to be eating. You cannot just go and sit one place, you eat one big food anymore. That has ended. You're going to eat your food you eat your breakfast 7 o'clock in the morning, you're going to wait for another 4 hours to eat another food. In between 7 and, say you take your breakfast 7 o'clock in the morning, you're going to wait for another 4 hours. So in between that time, you can take like something like orange or avocado or cucumber or a vegetable soup. That's okay. But you cannot eat anything heavy again until another 4 hours because you are counting your carbs. You cannot eat anything because of the carb. The more carb you eat, the more sugar is going to rise up. So that is why you're going to eat them small. All right? So that is why I say it depends the kind of advice you are learning from other people out there. If you are one of those that are going for traditional medicine, herb medicine, you're wasting your time because at the end of the day, you're going to end up, by the time you get to the hospital, your liver, you're looking for somebody to donate your liver or kidney because you allow those traditional medicine to damage your kidneys and then your sugar is piling up. And the next thing, you end up in the hospital looking for somebody to donate you a kidney. You can't get kidney. So you got to be very careful the kinds of people advise you. If you are working with a doctor, listen to follow your doctor's instructions. My concern now is that you say you cannot afford or you don't have device to measure. If you go to pharmacy, you can buy the device. You can buy the device to measure you measure your diabetics. You can buy the device to measure your diabetics. Now, if you buy the device, you also have to buy the lancet because the lancet, the strip you have to put inside it. When it finish, you have to buy another one to keep using the machine because once you buy the one you're going to buy now, it comes with the lancet. So if the strip finish, you have to just buy the strip to be using with the same machine. You keep the machine, but you have to keep using the machine. So the question now is that you need that monitoring machine to measure your sugar level all the time. But now you say you can, I don't know whether you say you can't afford it or you don't have one. I don't know what you mean by that. I have to look at your listing, but you have to make sure you get your machines. All right. Barbara, I believe you heard what I said. And then Junie says, what about grapes? Grapes is good, but it contains sugar in it. So everything depends on the quantity. If you're going grapes, you're going to take 2 or 3 grapes, fine. You can't go more than that because it contains a lot of sugar in it and also the carbs that they need. So if you want to take grapes, 2, 3 piece, 4 piece, fine. That's it. You stop there. Gone are the days you go to sit and finish 1 bag of grapes. No, it has a lot of sugar in it and a lot of carbs in it. So 3, 4 grapes is fine. Okay, and that is it. So Barbara, did you get what I said? Did you hear me properly? Because it's time for us to end the program. It's almost 4 hours now. I'm here. So, any more question? If there's any more question, let's let me put this thing away. Any more question? Do we have any more question? All right, so if you guys don't have any more questions, it's time to call it a day. Okay, let me see what. Okay, all right, Barbara. So if you have any, you can inbox me in my page if you have any question. All right, I might not respond to you immediately, but once I get a few minutes, I always go to the page and check if there's any message. So if you have anything, just inbox me and then we'll take it from there. But try as much as you can to get a measuring machine to test your sugar level. It's very important. All right, Junie, there's no problem. Yes, talk loud. Clear matters. Okay. So all right. Okay, yeah, so no problem. Yeah, so just keep me updated. Keep me updated on my concern now is you have to get this measuring machine. You have to try to get your glucometer. You need a glucometer to test your glucose. It's very important. Yeah, Junie, that's what I'm going to do now. Once I get off now, I'm going to take a relax. That's what I'll do now. Just relax. That's what I'll do once I get off. Once I get off here. Once I get off. No, you are I was in Rochester on Wednesday. I was in Rochester, but you are in Queens. Yeah, Junior, you are in Queens. Okay, yeah, yeah, right down in New York. I was in Rochester on Wednesday. Yeah. All right. So, okay. So, friends, time to say goodbye. Tomorrow is another day. We're gonna start in the morning, 8:30 tomorrow. Okay. Hopefully to see you guys. I'm gonna start 8:30 my time. Okay. So by now you guys know what time is gonna be in your country. I'm gonna start 8:30 Eastern time, my time. So you guys know what time in your country to join. All right. So my time now is 11:57 a.m. 11:57 a.m. So you have to check your time now to know the time difference to know exactly what time to join tomorrow. 8:30 in the morning will be my next time. Okay. So friends, I'm gonna let you guys go now, and I say thank you guys for today's program, and hopefully I wish you guys the best in managing your diabetics. Okay, keep watching the videos. I keep sending your comments, and if there's any question, I'm going to respond back. So I'm going to say bye bye to you guys now, and then I'm hopefully to see you guys tomorrow. Stay blessed. Bye.